Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. Additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the new Sweet and Smoky Steak and Guac Signature Wrap. How would you like it?
I'll take my ex-girlfriend, just checking in.
Aw.
Hey, David, it's me, just checking in. I'm doing great. Just got the new Sweet and Smoky Steak and Guac Signature Wrap from Subway. Creamy guacamole, smoky sweet Wahio mesquite sauce, and double the tender steak. They just know what I want before I do. So, yeah, things are going pretty great for me. Subway, make it what you want. Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat based on average 6-inch sub. Okay, bye.
Opinion.
A bill designed to block those annoying robocalls wins overwhelming approval in the U.S. Senate.
Democrat Ed Markey and Republican John Thune teamed up on the Traced Act, authorizing the FCC to slap penalties on callers flouting telemarketing rules. It won Senate approval 97-1.
They're not just a nuisance. Scammers use these calls to successfully prey on vulnerable populations like elderly Americans who are sometimes less technologically savvy.
The legislation would require service providers to adopt technology enabling verification that incoming calls are legitimate. Similar legislation is being considered in the House. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The danger's not over yet, even after a week of tornadoes in the central U.S., including miles of damage last night in Missouri.
It's really hard to believe, and it's so fortunate that no lives were lost here in Jefferson City. People are returning to their apartments that are obliterated, mangled cars, trees uprooted and launched into the air, and power lines down. Jefferson City police say a violent tornado touched down here around 11:40 p.m. last night. Neighbors that we've been talking to say they did hear sirens and had a few minutes to take shelter. In the forecast are more potential tornadoes and flooding that we've been covering across the Midwest, and the Missouri River that cuts right through this city is expected to crest at 9.5 feet above flood stage.
Fox's Matt Finn. Southwest of Jefferson City, though, in Golden City, Missouri, 3 people were killed. It could be many more months before the Boeing MAX jets grounded after 2 disasters could be allowed to return to service. The FAA administrator hinting at a longer timeline before a meeting today with representatives from more than 30 countries. The U.S. regulators hoping to convince counterparts around the world to lift their bans on the planes soon after the FAA eventually does. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Legends aren't born, they are made. And during our Jeep Celebration event at Cars Plus and Mighty, you'll receive up to $6,000 in accessories with the purchase of a new Jeep Wrangler, Motor Trend SUV of the Year. Customize your new Jeep to the way you want it. Or how about a new Jeep Grand Cherokee? Save up to $5,000. Or save up to $7,500 on a new Jeep Compass Sport. It's our Jeep Celebration event going on now at Cars Plus and Mighty. Cars Plus, driven by you. Accessory special cannot be combined with other offers. See dealer for details.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Half a day. I'm Mark Benventi of Santa Rita, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voice of our community and sharing thoughts and issues that affect us all. It all boils down to our people, our land. Protei Igumama. Protect your home. When purchasing or refinancing your home, remember to call the professionals at Security Title. Just like call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Get a half-gallon of Minute Maid orange juice for only $1.99 when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy. Get a half-gallon of Dairy Gold milk for only $1.99 when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy. Get a $7 meal for only $1.99 when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 6 a.m. this Friday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Former Guam Customs Lieutenant Henry Alavendia has been sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in a federal prison after pleading guilty to accepting more than $30,000 in bribes and kickbacks while serving as a Guam customs officer. He could have faced up to 71 months in prison, but he was granted a major sentence reduction because of his help in prosecuting one of Guam's largest meth cases. During his sentencing hearing in district court yesterday, Assistant U.S. Attorney Fred Black said that in his 40 years of practice as an attorney, he has never seen any defendant cooperate in a case more than Alavendia. It may be impossible to completely eliminate the methamphetamine market on Guam, said Black, but It may be mitigated through the cooperation of individuals like Alvendia, he said. Alvendia played a key role in the prosecution of the drug case against Raymond Martinez and Juanita Mosier. He recorded weeks of contact between himself and the couple, who were accused of smuggling 8 pounds of methamphetamine from California to Guam. Department of Public Works Director Vince Areola has launched an investigation into the conduct of a school bus driver who told a 3rd and 4th grader on his bus to get off and walk back to the nearest bus stop after the youngsters told him they'd accidentally gotten on the wrong bus. The brother and sister attend Attico Elementary School and live in the Latte Heights area. They were forced off the bus Tuesday afternoon, far from their home on Route 15. Fortunately, a Good Samaritan stopped to pick them up and drove them home safely. In a statement issued by the governor's office yesterday, Areola is quoted as saying that the incident is extremely disturbing. He said he apologized to the family and the children for the anxiety and stress that they suffered. Areola said a full and thorough investigation is being conducted to determine if disciplinary action is warranted. DPW policy requires if a student boards the wrong bus, they should be taken back to their school or the nearest mayor's office. We'll have more news after this.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
When your family needs medical care, how often do you find the need to visit multiple clinics? When a child has a serious ailment, do you find yourself meeting a medical provider only to learn you must go somewhere else for testing? At the FHP Health Center, you can find multiple specialties and testing services under one roof. And if your family needs urgent care, FHP is there for you with convenient weekday, evening, and weekend hours. Voted the island's best clinic and Pika's best 2 years in a row. FHP, our island, your clinic. Learn more at fhpguam.com.
10 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. Guam Power Authority General Manager John Benavente told lawmakers yesterday that GPA is implementing pay raises across the board for all its employees, not just executives. He explained that GPA has to attract and retain employees, otherwise the utility is going to go backward, he said. As of last year, Benavente said the salary levels of all GPA employees was at the 15th percentile of the average compensation level for similar utility employees in comparable stateside jobs. This year, he said, the utility is working to move everybody up to the 20th percentile, and it may be a few more years before they get to the 50th percentile. Benavente told senators it costs a lot of money, but they're slowly inching up without having to increase rates. Benavente and Consolidated Commission on Utilities Chairman Joey Duenas testified yesterday at an oversight hearing on GPA called by Oversight Chair Senator Clint Rigel. Duenas said GPA has been able to afford paying its employees more because it has reduced its workforce by using technology. Duenas says the oversight hearing in the wake of the controversy over the pay raises and bonuses for power and water utility executives, which were discussed by the CCU in a closed-door meeting last November. The Navy's Explosive Ordnance Disposal Team yesterday removed a World War II-era pineapple grenade that was on display at the Foci shop in Tumon. Store Administrator Carlo Dela Cruz telling the Guam Daily Post that a beachgoer dropped it off at the store about 2 weeks ago. He said it was rusted, but they thought it looked like a cool artifact. A military service member who happened to walk into the store saw the grenade and advised store management to contact the Emergency Ordnance Disposal Team and have it taken away. Dela Cruz said the serviceman pointed out that there was no detonator on the grenade, so it wouldn't explode, but it was still live. Guam police and fire units arrived about 12:30 yesterday afternoon. The Foci store was evacuated. EOD was called and took the grenade away for safe disposal. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with a look at weather.
It looks like partly to mostly cloudy, scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms again today. Light and variable winds through tomorrow, becoming northeast at 15 to 20 miles an hour Sunday and Monday. Highs near 87. And overnight lows expected to be about 78 degrees. Sunset tonight at 6:42. And my friend Christina on Facebook has just got the most outrageous. Well, she got a lot of outrageous everythings, but she's got one of the most outrageous the sunsets that I've seen over the last couple of days. I'll see if I can bring some of that up so you can take a look at it as well. For those of you that are going to be shutterbugging it tonight, and she was able to make it, originally thinking, well, it's raining, I'm not going to be able to get a decent sunset. Went down to the beach anyway and was rewarded with just a gorgeous one. Sunrise this morning was at 5:53, and that's what we've got for you on the forecast side for the rest of the day and most of the weekend. Immediate weather, we can see that on the radar. Michael Knight will talk you through that.
Yeah, a bit of a change now as we see a transformation taking place in the weather scenario here. The frontal system and all of that activity is pulled on away now, and we're left over with some of that moisture. And we have additional moisture now coming in from the east. This is what they were talking about, a return to trade wind weather, which will happen on Sunday, by the way. Until then, we've still got a couple more days of the same kind of thing that we had yesterday, and this means really light winds, just a little bit of shower activity in the mornings. It'll start to wane down, and then the heat builds up. And when it does, this very slow flow of air, which you can see these showers are just barely moving, a little different direction today than yesterday, but it still looks like mostly central northern Guam will see the same kind of activity they saw yesterday. Might get a little more on the west side of the south because we're getting more of a southeasterly flow, but it's still really slow. That heat is going to heat up the land on the island. It's going to push up the moisture. So we will expect some rain, and it could, like yesterday, see some flooding rain in spots where those showers kind of hang out. Looking at the satellite here, we see nothing really large-scale in our area. We do see moisture coming in from the east. Got some blobbage up to the northwest associated with just some old moisture and a bit of a trough from the frontal activity that was taking place there all last week. And I got another push coming down, which is kind of weird, but I don't know if that will affect us. We'll check that out. For the weekend, though, just going to be hot. Again, thunderstorms, good likely chance today and tomorrow, but trade winds return Sunday, Monday. More of a trade wind weather thing.
Grill marks?
I think it'll be a good chance. I think it'll be okay. Yeah, I think it'll be okay. Yeah,
I got all kinds of people got beach plans on Sunday and Monday.
Yeah, Sunday and Monday actually will be fine. Sunday and Monday, again, we'll return to that typical trade wind thing. Just got those nice winds coming in from the east, maybe a shower or two here and there, so perfect for Guam. Today and tomorrow, probably not so much.
All right, that's news and plenty of weather together here on The Point, brought to you by Bank Pacific, where others put branches, they place roots.
Business travel just got easier. Take your data plan with you for only $10 a day to all 17 data-to-go destinations. Never worry about additional data roaming charges when you go where your business needs you. The U.S., China, Thailand, and so much more. Have the assurance you need to check emails, surf the web, and stay connected. Call 688-2677 today to make sure your account is data-to-go ready. Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Thank you, buddy. It's a quarter after 6 o'clock in the morning. Portions of the program brought to you by APL. That's American President Lines. They're shipping the future Micronesia renewable energy. You know, there's never been a better time to go solar. Guys over at Guam Regional Medical City with their first choice for your specialty care needs. And who else is, I got to take care of these guys. They're having the Jeep celebration at Cars Plus in Mighty. If you haven't had a chance to swing by there and take a look at your new Jeep Wrangler, make sure you get a chance sometime over the Memorial Day weekend. And who knows, you could be in line for about $6,000 worth of parts and accessories to customize it, make it your own, love it, enjoy it, individualize it, you it up at Cars Plus.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Savor this here for a second. Let me just savor the Friday-ness. Are you feeling it? Is there? Is it? Is it washing over you like the rains yesterday and a little bit of the thunder bumpers that were coming out? Not as bad with the thunder as it was a couple of days prior at my place. I heard a couple of them, got my attention. By the time I started paying attention to it, they disappeared. It's like, I guess that was the one good one that we were going to get today.
Yeah, a lot of that happened because the clouds formed pretty early in the day, and so we didn't get a chance for the heat to really start to build up on the island. So the showers that fell, they didn't get as much lift as, say, if that development had started a little later in the day. So
Right.
we got kind of lucky in that regard. But yeah,
But it was still nice to get the rain. It was nice
Yeah.
to get the rain and sitting. I'd opened the curtains on the big front window and just watched the rain fall in the village all day yesterday. And I absolutely enjoyed it. Such a great view. But I did feel sorry for the pedestrians. I get a lot of pedestrian traffic over at my place, and so up and down the street, watching people that walked down when it was dry that were trying to walk back up the street when it was all rainy, and not a one of us has an umbrella handy these days because it hasn't rained.
Yeah,
hasn't rained. I mean, I've got one. It's I don't know. It's in the closet somewhere. I might have one in the car, but I'm not sure about it. Anyway, so make sure that's part of your routine this morning is grab yourself an umbrella and keep it with you, at least in the car. Bring it with you in the office because it might be dry right now as you're making your way in, but there's a possibility by the time it gets to be later in the day that Michael Knight's predictions are going to come true, and we could see some of those afternoon rains and thunderstorms and lightning strikes on Guam. 6:18 in the morning. Welcome to the program. Excuse the mess. It is the Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point. We're here celebrating another Friday, but no ordinary Friday. It's a Friday into a 3-day weekend for a lot of people. And when I say a lot of people, the only ones I really care about are the 3 or 4 of us that work here on the morning show. Just a programming note, we're not going to be here Monday morning, and the advice I need to give you is sleep in. And never mind waking up early on Monday, but you don't have to if you don't want to. If you're among those that are going to be celebrating the holiday, then I'd celebrate it first off by staying in bed for a little bit longer. I don't know exactly what all of my weekend plans are going to be. I think I'll share some ideas that have been offered to me over the last couple of days. With you and some of the other things that I've observed, but gets to be Monday morning, and you wake up and you go, oh my God, I gotta have morning show. I gotta have some Rayness in here. Best advice I can give you: go to YouTube and search for Ray Gibson Show. Take a look at the programs that we've got. Virtually every single one, going back to day one on this program, have been uploaded to YouTube one way or the other. And no doubt there's one that you have missed. And if you just need to hear the start of the show, get you in that good mood, get you into that prime feeling for a Monday, then absolutely take a look at the archive and see if something's there. It's it must be a different shirt. I didn't see him wear that one last time. 20 after, and Michael Knight is going to get the phone when you call at 888-8888. Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post with a look at all of the big stories that we're going to be talking about and touching on today. Where do we begin on the front? Year in prison for an ex-customs officer, and normally I'd rail against that to a degree, but when you've got the U.S. attorney saying that he had never in his 40 years of practice as an attorney seen a more cooperative witness. That says something. That says something. That's him going to bat for the guy, saying, "Yeah, we couldn't have done what we did on the other cases without this dude here. So let's send him someplace where he might be able to survive a year or so in jail." So Lieutenant Henry Alvendia in the court probably. I mean, you got to get a little bit disappointed because he's still got a year, right? But could have been worse. 67-year-old charged in alleged improper touch. And then the story that had us all crazy yesterday. Driver who forced kids off school bus under investigation. I'll riff in there for a little bit. But first, we've got to do, again, what I consider to be the most important part of the program, and that's the Good Mornings.
Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. And they're always glad you came. Troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
Yeah, buddy. And now top 10 this morning, Nate Horn. Way to go, kitty cat. Tony Annette and Pinko Ada. Rico Blancaflor. I got Dennis Bensour at number 4. Heather Perez comes in number 5. Mark Mendiola, 6. And there's Nick Perlosky. John Ray Taitano. Pat and Norma Jean. One of the John Rays got on an airplane, didn't he? One of the guys is doing some traveling. I thought I saw that on the book face. Pat and Norma Jean are on, and Joe Bloss round out the top 10 this morning. Let me take a look at the actual Facebook Live and see if there's anybody else that's chiming in right now. Oh, sure enough, there's Gwen Timinglu and Troy Mesa, Lynn Vince, Bora Polino, Anita Muffness, and her pretty Valentine's eyes. It's a tradition. Now, Carlos Barreto say, good morning to all, and TGIF, Yoy Tringil, and his Daily Ungil Tutao, the good morning in Palawan. I got Pam Duvall and Cheryl Ochai. Greg Karabrock, happy belated birthday to you, Greg. El Bautista says, half a day, start of a 4-day, so I slept in. Yeah, got a crack of 6 o'clock this morning. Nice. John Torres is there. Lady D from up in Jigo. Mary Park with a K. Lillian Cruz. Good morning, Johnson Nicholas. Good Friday morning all. Have a great weekend. Lil says, TGIF, Ray, Kevin, and Mike. Richard Leon. Good morning to Joe Flores and Frank Prus. Mindy Sanchez. Nice to see you online here. Hope everything is okay where you are. Patty Santiago. And a question from John Torres says, morning, Rayman. Are the gods of transparency going to shine from high above and let the common folk have their tax refunds? Let me check Kevin Kerrigan. I haven't seen anything.
No word yet this week.
I haven't seen anything this week. It's $4.5 million or so, I think, was the nut that they were trying to get out the door last week. But I'd have to go back over my stuff.
And it was $6 million the week before. So.
Yeah. So nothing. I'll tell you what. I have on the WhatsApp. I have Daphne Shimizu's number, and I'll send her a WhatsApp when I break free and ask her if she's got any information between her and the Department of Administration on what could be happening over the weekend with tax refunds and what day they're up to and all of that. I got Pedro Guerrero online. Pam Duvall says Mike Knight has the voice of the original Batman. Say it now. Say it. Say it. What's the line? I am Batman. Do it.
I am Batman.
Close enough. Close enough. Jeff Pleadwell. GPA has subcontractors doing their hard work. And now claims to have less employees. When the power feed is consistent, we will all be better off. That is years down the line. In the meantime, protect yourself from GPA or they will kill your appliances. Even their smart meters are being knocked out by their own poor power feed. I got Bert Duarte online. Going to get some pictures of pretty girls over the weekend. I got Tommy Martinez Aguero says Michael Knight is the Duk Duk Whisperer. If you want to get more Michael Knight, he'll be on the radio tomorrow, 6 until 10 on Boss 104. Take you through at least that part of the weekend, and he might even be doing some Duk Duk whispering. Do you know what that means?
No clue.
No clue as to what it is.
None whatsoever.
You have been, I know where you live, so I know that you've been to the beach there, and you see these little tiny hermit crabs or something like that walking around.
That's a Duk Duk, huh?
You pick them up. That's a Duk Duk, right? Okay. You pick them up, and they immediately go back into their shell.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, so the way that it's done, and the way that kids on Guam have doing it for millennia, is you pick up the thing, and you say the words
Duk Duk.
Duk, 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 duk. And so there's something about, I don't know what it is. I don't know whether they can feel it or they can hear it or whatever, but it might be something about the plosive, the percussion, duk, 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 and it will slowly start to come out of the shell. And then you pull it out and eat it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're really, really tasty. You got to try them. Crunchy?
Yeah.
With a little bit of, kind of goo at the end?
I don't do crab.
don't crab. Okay, that's good, because I was just kidding about the eating part. But that's the way we've been doing it since we were kids. And for those of you look,
next you were going to suggest some soy sauce or something.
Didn't I do that with Tom Addo one morning? Didn't I suggest that he go up to his wife and go just put his head by her ear and go, duck, 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 duck. I think I did. I get a kick out of being me. What the heck? Randy Landis, if there was ever anyone who could coin new meteorological terminology, it would be Michael Knight. Blobbage? Ha! Good one, Mike.
Yeah, make it up as we go along.
Flash rain got brown dirt runoff high up in Jigo, according to Richard Leon. Environmental damage? Mayor does nothing. I see.
Okay, wait. But the fact of the matter is when you are without so much rain for so long, the first rains that hit, especially the hard ones, the topsoil just runs right off, and so that's just kind of a normal thing. Everybody had dirt in their roads yesterday. Believe me.
Still bugging at GPA News are trying to give everybody a raise. Oh, that's in the table of contents as well. I got Jeff Pleadwell there, as I said, Doris Mendiola, John Torres, and an interesting emoji. I'd never seen that one where it's the emoji where apparently there's an atomic bomb going off on the guy's head. So if I understand the oversight, GPA plans to raise the manager's pay to $500 $150,000 a year, more than $1,000 per customer. Troy Mesa, Michael. The Dark Knight. You're getting names all week, buddy. Mingo Ria's there. James Lester Lonzo with a good morning. Pam Duvall and Eric McKinnon rounds out the list that I've got for you here. Great to have you guys here every single morning. I appreciate it. Rico Blancaflor has already done a share on the feed, and if you wouldn't mind, I mean, just whatever you're watching on, hit the share button and see if you can hook me up with a few more of your friends to watch the show every morning.
Yeah, I like the nice name mentions because, frankly, I've been called worse this morning already.
Lady D, didn't EPA find Smithbridge on the water runoff? Heather Perez saying good morning, and Bob and Connie Bartonico. So I don't know if I'm going to see you guys this weekend. I still got that. My ankle is still jacked up. It's still a little bit swollen and achy on both sides of the ankle. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it out and actually run around with you guys.
Wow, you really boogered that thing up, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a week. It'll be a week tonight, and I'm concerned. I figured maybe next week, if it's still a problem, maybe I'll go and see Dr. Phil over at American Medical and see what he's got to say about it.
Yeah, because you might have suffered just a slightly bit more of an injury than you thought originally.
There is that possibility, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, I want you to know I am getting some kind of exercise, jumping to conclusions and running off at the mouth. It's 6:28 in the morning. 888-825-5888-TALK. All right, table of contents. As I said, as I developed the table of contents. First place I go, Guam Daily Post every single morning, because it's where you get the good news and the information that you need to get your day started. This time yesterday, everybody just alarmed, incensed, angry, ticked off about the driver that kicked the kids off the bus, and yeah, there is policy on how to handle this. The department policy requires that if students board the wrong bus, they should be taken back to their school or to the nearest mayor's office, as opposed to get out. See you later. So there's going to be an investigation, according to DPW Director Vince Areola. Well, I've known all of my adult life, and even when we were little boys, says a full and thorough investigation is being conducted to determine if disciplinary action is warranted. Yes, disciplinary action is warranted. There's a policy that he should have known, that this driver should have known, and that policy apparently was violated. So, yes, some kind of disciplinary action is all that. I don't need an investigation for that. It's warranted. The incident has my highest level of attention. And you know why it has the highest level of attention? Because they heard all of this, the uproar at Adelup yesterday, and the people over at Adelup said, "Oh, we have to appear like we're doing something." I think did the governor in the statement in the release? Did the governor issue an apology as well? I don't think so.
The release came from the governor's office, so it got her attention.
Yeah, so they're her highest level of attention as well, because we cannot have furor and uproar and all of this stuff happening in the talk radio and in the onlines in this administration. So it's as simple as that. That's the way it's going to be. John Bagaforo is online. Nice to see your name there, Big and Better. Hey, Chris, nice hanging out with you the other night, and let's talk about doing that again sometime soon. There are a couple of other things in the table of contents before. Oh, tell you what, let's do the headlines. And we'll reload the table of contents conversation on the other side, because it's already 6:30. Headlines from the Guam Daily Post and Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. And the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning: Derek Evan Hills has been arrested again. This time, the former senatorial candidate is being accused of wrecking his home and then falsely reporting that he was the victim of a burglary. Hills is charged with making a false report and unsworn falsification, both as misdemeanors. The magistrate complaint states that officers responded to a burglary at Hills's home around 5:20 Tuesday afternoon. When they arrived, Hills reportedly told officers that he awoke to a loud bang and the sound of shattered glass. He claimed a hooded man came in through the window and tried to attack him, so he defended himself first with a stick, then with a knife. The officers, however, noted it would have been impossible for the man to crawl through the window because the break in the glass was too small. Hills then said the altercation took place outside. Police, however, concluded that no burglary occurred and the damage was caused by Hills. Hills then reportedly confessed to having made it all up because he didn't want his mom to find out that he'd locked himself out of the house and broke the window to get in. Hills was arrested last year for posing as a law enforcement officer and attempting to coerce money from tourists. 67-year-old Jose de la Cruz Santos has been charged with second-degree criminal sexual conduct after he allegedly touched a 15-year-old girl inappropriately. According to the magistrate complaint, the girl alleges that de la Cruz touched her when he was babysitting for her when she was younger. The girl said de la Cruz grabbed her breast when she was 11 and on another occasion tried to kiss her. The girl eventually reported the alleged incidents to her mother, who contacted police, leading to the arrest. The FBI is offering a reward of up to $25,000 for information leading to the whereabouts of Paloma and Melania Luke. Saturday marks the 8th anniversary of the girl's disappearance from Saipan. It is also recognized as National Missing Children's Day. Paloma and Melania were aged 9 and 10 at the time of their disappearance. They were last seen waiting at a bus stop in Santa Lourdes the morning of May 25th, 2011, according to the FBI. 8 years later, the FBI and the CNMI Department of Public Safety remain committed to finding the missing girls. Anyone with knowledge on the case can contact the FBI at their Saipan office at 670-322-6934. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Gotcha. It's 6:33 in the morning, and that's iConnect time. There's an iConnect near you, or just give them a ring at 888-8888. Call them and ask them about the incredible plans they have for mobile and push-to-talk, even internet plans at iConnect.
The Crazy 19 menu at King's Restaurants is back with all your breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites. Fun pancakes, tasty sandwiches, and the local dishes you crave for a limited time on the Crazy 19 menu at King's.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
It's 6:34 in the morning. Is it time for Right Now traffic? It generally is around this time. I just want to go out there and see what we've got happening on Guam's roadway. Still rather early for any kind of congestion. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but usually around this time of day, there's not all that much going on in the roadway. So southbound Marine Corps Drive all the way from Anderson Air Force Base into the Dededo area should be running clear and smooth right now. Once you start getting to intersections, that'll slow you down a little bit, but just because, there's stoplights there. Into some of the other hot spots on the island. Where's this place at? It looks like a little bit of traffic southbound Marine Corps Drive just before you get to Santos Hill. Might be slowing down a little bit more for that intersection and letting pedestrians run across that triple stop that they've got there. Where is this place? Looks like a spot over near the University of Guam. Yeah, on your way into the University and GCC area. Looks like we've got slower traffic moving towards that gas station, and from there, looks like we're around Franny's in the Domino's area. Expect some slowing down there. Into downtown Agana, you're looking good. Nothing in front of Navy Hospital and nothing down in Sumai right now, so it ain't so bad. 6:35 and right now traffic on the point.
Whether you're going grocery shopping, taking the kids to the mall, or going to work, you need a reliable car that can take you where you need to go. A reliable car also needs reliable insurance. Let Nanbo Insurance make your auto insurance easy and uncomplicated. With Nanbo, you can also save big when you bundle up and insure your car, home, motorcycle, or business. Enjoy great savings up to 50%. Visit nanbo.com or call 477-9754 for more details.
Let's go for a drive.
Let's take a stroll. Let's gallivant. Let's go cruising.
We all have different ways to describe how we get up and go in our cars. But whatever you may call it, you can do more of it when you save 6% off your fuel purchases at any Shell station when you use your eligible Bank of Guam Visa and MasterCard credit cards. So stop by any Guam or CNMI Shell station and start saving today. Visit bankofguam.com for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
Real Talk Radio is back. The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
just where do we begin? Where do we? I knew it was going to be one of those kinds of days yesterday, where you just kind of sit back and almost let the news come to you, and it was. It got to be, I don't know, 6:30ish, and you start looking over your social media feeds, and you start looking over the newscasts and the websites and things like that, and you go, yep, plenty of news today. Lots of stuff that is out there, bus driver stuff, and interesting stories about people in the news. Now, I will get in a second to the table of contents and the riff-worthy stuff. But I want to make it clear. This is a big 3-day weekend that we've all got in. Not all of us, but most of us, I think, are going to enjoy a lot of extra. Yeah. A lot of extra time out there, and so if you're looking around for low-cost, no-cost things to do, there's always going to be a list. The Agate Mango Festival is going to be taking place. The celebration began last week with the big 5K that they do down there, and it will continue into this weekend. And families from all over Guam are going to converge on Agate and start walking around and taking a look around the place. So if you want information on what's going on down there, you know what? Just go. It's just down to Marine Corps Drive. And when you get to Navy, then hang a left, and pretty soon you're in Agate, and it will be Mango Festival. And you want to get down to the Sagan Besita that they have down there. Awesome views, and that's where the pop-ups and the foods are going to be. Bianca is online. Good morning, Bianca Borja. Therese Uggan Rigel, good morning to you. Juanita Gokwe Cruz is online, and Pam Duval is saying interesting things about Derek Hill. Trust me, it's on the list. Just wait, give me time. I want to go over some low-cost, no-cost family activities that we can get to here. The Memorial Day flag deal, and this is if you're not doing anything tomorrow. I did this once, and they're calling it an opportunity to present an active contribution to this year's Memorial Day. They're looking for volunteers at Assun Beach to plant, they're calling it installing, plant flags. U.S. flags, and there will be flags there, U.S. and Guam flags, the one for each person who was a casualty of the war, of the Second World War, and it is a spectacular thing to see when it's done. Kind of hard work to do in some areas before it's all done. The history of that area is that once upon a time it was a motor pool, and they put a lot of cascao, and there's some hard stuff underneath that, what looks like soft grass, and places where literally you have to use some kind of a hammer drill device in order to make a hole big enough for the flag to stand in. But there are people that do that. I've done this before, and it is one of the most. It's the happiest labor that you'll ever do. You'll get out there, and there's all kinds of volunteers with hammers and pieces of rebar, and everybody pulling on the same rope to make this spectacle a reality. Piece of advice: make sure that you got some shoes on you. I went in Zori's, and that meant that there was a piece of equipment like a hammer that they didn't want me to use just in case I got injured. But bring some shoes with you, gloves, your own hammer if you've got it, and help out. The event is going to take place at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, and depending on how many volunteers they get, bring some water for yourself, or whatever it is that you're going to need to hydrate, coffee, things like that. It's not like, they got food trucks down there for something like this. But it really is a spectacular deal. Trust me, you'll make new friends, and everybody with the same love and the same pride for Guam. And then there'll be lighting of the flags that are going to be taking place, and more. This is interesting to me. The Cocos Crossing, is it too late for me to jump into water and go swimming with everybody, or is this something that I should have trained for? I'm not a big swimmer. I'm not, running is my poison, but I got a lot of love and respect for the people that will go out there this weekend and do the Cocos Crossing. Because to me, that's just a spectacular feat. That's no less than running, marathons back to back for the people that can do it. And it's amazing how many people will get out there and leave the pier and go swim to Cocos and hang a Louie and come back.
Do you know how far the span is? What are they swimming? About a half mile?
There are 3 popular options to suit your levels: a 3K, a 5K, and a 10K. So I guess the 10K is the out and back that takes you through. But and I know people a lot. We were talking with Lasia Casil yesterday, and last time I saw Lasia, last Saturday I saw Lasia, and she had just welts all over. And I said, what's that? And she said, that's from the jellyfish.
Yeah.
So and so here's the you want to talk about getting scared off from something, right? You know, and I'm the guy, right? What's the credo? Courage is always rewarded. But there's jellyfish, so I don't have I don't feel the need to be jellyfished in order to show how strong and firm I am.
Specifically for swimmers, though, there is a covering that they can put on their arms. It's very skin tight, very thin. What happens is, and of course the wildlife experts can talk about it more than I can, but the jellyfish, if they don't actually feel your skin, they won't sting you. So this light covering actually protects you in that regard because they won't sting through the covering.
It's
very thin. It's very...
I don't know if people like to run to swim with those kinds of things. I don't even know you'd buy that kind. I don't know. I can't verify. I cannot independently verify that. And you would think that somebody who is actually athletic like Lacia is that they'd already have one. Yeah. Why would you put up with Welch if you could go to Goody or Hornet and pick up something that would prevent it? I don't know. But anyway, so there's that. I saw a guy once. I remember a couple of years ago. I was down at the pier watching people come in, and there was a guy came in on the back of a jet ski. And you could he was very emotional because now it's a DNF, a do not finish, because they had to bring him in, and he was in tears. And I thought he was emotional because of the DNF until I saw his upper body. And it was just, it looked like tenderized meat.
Wow.
He must have swam into a swarm of them or something like that. He was just absolutely in tears. And I thought, yeah, no, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this isn't the thing. But get down there, if for no other reason, the spectacle of watching people go out and come back in. It is kind of a big event. 6:43 in the morning, 888-8255. Who we got here? Hello, Ray. Good morning to you. I'm in Greensboro, North Carolina. Hi, Isaac. Good to have you online again. Tina Gumatautal. Mark Cruz is online. Mark's going to ask me to make a plug again at some point for the big Guam Contractors Association golf tournament that is taking place over the weekend at Leo Palace, and a reminder on Sunday that you can go and do your 18 rounds of golf, and then after the get-together, there is a local getaway special, Leo Palace, $99. So maybe that's how you want to bring in your Memorial Day morning. Nick Perlowski says, DPW director, like all of Guam, is only doing lip service. We all know that nothing will be done to the driver except, hey, don't do that again. Or I'll say, don't do that again. The community is asking for a harsher punishment, a stiffer penalty, and termination doesn't seem to be too far-fetched to a lot of people in this community, although it is going to be pointed out and said again and again and again that there are civil service protections for this employee, which is, and I'm wondering if that's why we don't know who the employee is. Has that been made public by anybody yet? Mr. Kerrigan, he's shaking his head. No, we don't know who it is. I would be interested to find out who it is, to see if it's maybe we know him. Maybe he's maybe he's already been a screw up a few times before. And that's why they're not saying anything, because people are going to say, oh, yeah, this is the guy that always causes trouble and always gets away with it, or whatever. But here's the thing. If it's going to be a termination, and I get that a lot of people are asking for it, if there's going to be a termination, then the deal is they got to find a way to make it stick. So they put together the Pearl Harbor file very carefully so that when you do terminate this person, it sticks. And they don't go crying to the Civil Service Commission and hiring Randy Cunliffe, and then they come back like 4 months later, and then we got to do back pay and missing benefits and all of that stuff.
I've got to think at this point, since it's been swept kind of under this weird, funny rug that no one really notices the rug is there, it's going to be someone that's in charge of the school. Principal, assistant principal, somebody.
The driver?
Somebody that's up, and that's why they're being very quiet. If it was a regular teacher, look what they did to Andre.
What are you talking about? Are you talking about the gun, or are you talking about
the gun?
I was talking about the driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about the bus driver. So I want to know who this person is to see if it's a screw-up from before. Is this one of those people that just constantly screws up? I don't disagree. I think the person is a staffer. I don't know how high up in the chain that person might be, but an article did. I thought I saw that. An article mentioned it was a she driver on the bus. All right. She's are capable of screwing up as well. And never mind what you see over at the legislature and the governor's office, the sheer perfection of the 35th and Antelope. I'm just saying that gender knows no level of, there is no protection of screwing up based on gender in this community.
Yeah, and it is a horrible thing, but I like what Mark came up with yesterday while he was visiting. And it might, what if this was just a simple case of poor communication that was handled completely wrong. I mean, clearly it was handled completely wrong. But in the way Mark described it, it was kind of like, well, maybe the bus driver thought they had just missed the last bus stop, and so he thought it was okay to let them off right there. You know, I mean, there are going to be many aspects
I'm the
to
guy.
this.
I am super, benefit of the doubt guy. You know that about me. But in this case, I think it was still wrong bus, or they had identified as wrong bus, and should have either been taken to a mayor's office according to their policy, or dropped off or taken back to the school. 888-825-888-TALK. 6:47 in the morning. Request for information on a manual integration of criminal history records. I saw an I saw this notice in the newspaper yesterday, and I thought we'd give Sean Gumatautau a call about it to see what he knows. Good morning, Shawnee.
Hey, good morning, Ray. How are you?
Not bad. Hey, let's hear it for those Notre Dame girls, huh?
Oh my goodness, what a fantastic season! And
four, Pete.
Yeah, and it's not just the four in a row, but they've just been in the final just for many years on out, and that's just their consistency. Kudos to their coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos, and by the way, kudos to their parents who bring them to the field. Buy their shin guards, get their cleats, pay the sports fee,
right,
and all those good things.
Yeah, that's some of the other people that should definitely get some honors at the awards banquets that are coming up. Hey, a thought. There's now that the paperwork has been signed, it looks like they're spinning out the Department of Education from IIAAG. As a parent, how does that make you feel?
When I saw the report about bringing down grades, that absolutely floored me. I thought that.
Oh my God!
That it's and from my experience, I think we are trying to build students first. We are not trying to build athletes first. If we're trying to keep them off the streets, it makes absolutely no sense. As a parent, what kind of message is that sent? Hey guys, it's okay to be really lousy in grades because you can play for the rest of your life. That does not make any practical sense.
Yeah, how many kids are going to be able to get out from high school and continue a professional career in whatever athletes? It's on the back of the Guam Daily Post. James Lujan, the GEB Safety and Health Committee chairman, proffered the motion, wants to change the grade requirements for athletes in the Department of Education athletic system. Currently, it is a 2.0 grade point average that has to be maintained. I mean, that doesn't sound like we're asking a whole heck of a lot out of people to be able to pull down, what, a B average?
Well, I mean, 2.0 nowadays is a C.
Okay.
And for the most part, most of these kids are going to, if they don't even have college aspirations, they are going to finish school. That's the ultimate goal. And I think this whole issue is, at least that one particular segment, I just completely disagree.
Yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit more when what's his name, Blake, gets in here. Now, what is this manual integration of criminal history records? What are we working on here at the courthouse?
Well, as you know, for us, Ray, getting all of our records and keeping them, and keeping them together is our priority. And we're just trying to find that support to make that happen. I think that, when we think about our caseloads and the work that we do day in and day out in supporting not just those who are filed, maybe the ones that you guys see, the criminal misdemeanors and felonies, but also we have people that come in who have disputes all the time. I use kind of like the line with our students when they come in. Think about when you're just your cell phone. If you don't pay your cell phone bill, you sign an agreement, you don't pay, you're in dispute with them. Those even basic things, which I think kids nowadays can understand phones. They think phones are just come off trees. But then when they think about the idea of a dispute, we got to be able to integrate all of those records and allow not just us, but even folks in our law enforcement fields. They got to be able to see what's happening at the court and how they can assist across all of our law enforcement agencies and divisions.
What interests me, though, is it talks about doing this manually. And it seems to me, our conversations with C.J. Torres, even before you were at the court, he'd always been crazy about digitizing everything and making sure that there were soft versions of records all over the place. Why is this being done manually as opposed to sorting it into some kind of algorithm and databases?
Again, it still takes people to be able to do this, and we're also working with the general public who would come in and the like. So we just got to be able to make it even just a smidgen more user-friendly.
Okay. Well, it's just, as you know.
We're going to be getting to the ground on it with the bid, and we'll see how that all goes.
Okay. As you know, I mean, doing anything manually is going to take a little bit of additional time. So we'll watch and see how that plays. There was one other thing, and I don't know if there's a place that I can get it handily on the air. I mean, you know, I've been railing against what I consider to be the short-sighted prosecution or judges that are too lenient on guys, and we're seeing a lot more felony on felony. So what I'd like to be able to put together is a list of all of the judges that are handling criminal cases and which ones have the most felony on felony releases. Am I making sense with that question?
You are, and I think all of them handle general jurisdiction cases, so they're all handling felonies at some point. So across the board, every single judicial officer handles them. Is there a single judicial officer that you're asking would have more than the other? It's hard to say, Ray. I think one of the things that that we've been looking at, especially as a group, especially this recent issues with criminal sexual conduct.
Sure.
As we started looking at the records, when we think about a felony on felony release, this is not a judge on his own making a final decision. It's the Attorney General of Guam and their assistant attorney generals who work with, you can call them very talented defense attorneys, who, as they try to work to get their client out or to get their client so that they can have some level of fairness to them, and then the judge hears all of that information with input from our probation services division, and then a decision is made. And it's not made in a vacuum. I think that's something that I've talked to the presiding judge about it time and time again, and I'm sharing it with you, and I think I've told you time and time again, it is not a judge who does it singularly. There is a whole system that needs to be employed, and everyone in that gives some input to make a final call on whether or not someone's released. And then when they get out there, we're not. It's a whole other story on its own, and the human condition and how they're able to do what they do. And I think that's something that we're all concerned about as a community, and we should try to find ways to mitigate it.
The way to mitigate it is to keep better tabs on these guys. Obviously, there are many of them that go through the different courtrooms. You say, okay, and how many guys is it? You talk to your probation guys and find out how many people are skipping their interviews with the parole bosses. There was one case last week where, and I was glad to see that I think it was CSON actually said, I've looked at your records, and I've looked at your record of being able to maintain your interviews and contact with the court, and you're lousy. And the guy was like, so you're not releasing me on my personal recognizance? And the judge said, no, you're going to jail. And I thought that was great. We need more of that kind of thing. So, I mean, and I don't know, I'm sure that was a bother to the attorney that was defending the guy, but I think the judge finally is starting to look like a semblance of living in the same community and hearing the same pleas from us in the community. Anyway, so if I don't know, should I FOIA that? Is there a way to get that kind of report, or is there someplace on your website that I can find the information?
It's something that's not readily available, but let me see if I can do something offline, Ray, and then I can try to get it over to you.
You're the man. I appreciate it.
All right, Ray,
I'll talk to you
have
pretty
a great
soon.
day, and you guys keep up the good work over there at the Point.
You have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon, my friend.
All right, thanks again.
Shawnee Gumatau at the Guam courthouse. They got something going on. And if this sounds like something that you're in the business of, manual integration of criminal history records, they're looking for somebody to do all of that. And I think it was in one of the newspapers yesterday. But find John Lozama over at the court, and he'll tell you exactly what it is that they're looking for. Now the way, and I bragged about this in the past, is the way that I do my email is I use Gmail, and I've used it for years and years and years. Originally because I thought they did the best work getting rid of spam, or at least throwing spam into a separate folder so I don't always see it. And I'm the guy that has, it's got to be 1 million emails in my system right now, because I just pay them for the space. I don't delete emails. And so I was curious about something this morning based on one of the magistrate reports. There's a guy, Rambo is his name, Rambo. And Rambo was tweaking because Guam is turning into meth town, guys. Rambo was tweaking yesterday and barged his way into a tour bus, and started beating on the driver. Who was he asking for? He was asking after his daughter. He said, "Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter?" He's beating up on the tour bus driver. Didn't know what the heck he's talking about. And I thought Rambo is a very familiar name, and not because of the movie. And it occurs to me, if there's somebody named Rambo near you, keep an eye on him, because I started looking at the magistrate reports going back at least in the last decade, the last 5 years. And there's a whole bunch of Rambos that have gotten themselves in trouble. Now, this guy was Rambo Kumas, I think is his name. But back in 2013, Rambo Akimu was arrested. I can't remember what he was arrested for. 2014, Rambo Kafia, Rambo Cassian, and Rambo Kumo were also arrested by the Guam police and magistrated in the courts. In 2015, it was Rambo Ezra, Rambo Solis in 2016, followed by Rambo. I don't know if it's the same guy, just changing the last name. It just and it could. The thing is, it could be Rambo in 2016, Rambo Jackie in 2018, and then in 2000, just March of this year, it was Rambo, also known as Rambo Milk. Same guy, just maybe changing the AKAs for the benefit of the police. I don't know. Maybe later on, if I get I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, motivated, unlazy, maybe I'll go and take a look at the date of births and things like that.
Pretty soon they'll arrest Rambo Drano.
But I don't. The popular name, I guess, among thugs. And then, do we have time? No, I don't think I've got time. Let me bring Tom. I've only got a couple of minutes for you, so I'm gonna bring you in now before I start talking about Derek Hills. Go ahead.
Good morning, buddy.
Migo.
Start marking your calendar, because if they don't take adverse action on that bus driver, that 60-day rule is going to apply. Then he's going to get his job back with back pay.
See what I mean? No, I hear you. I hear you. If there's going to be an adverse action, termination of some kind, there are rules and regulations that apply in the Civil Service Commission, and you don't need to have the smartest lawyer in the shed to get you out from under trouble. It doesn't hurt. And I use the name Randy Cunliffe. Randy's a friend of mine. If I was a GovGuam employee and I got an adverse action, he would be the first guy I call. If I got caught by the Guam Police Department for any kind of hanky-panky, he would be the guy that I call, because he's that good. And it's possible that this bus driver may have already made contact with Rand or somebody of that caliber. We'll watch, obviously, and see, obviously. 7 o'clock in the morning, the radio station is KUSG. I got to do shouts. Renee Logie is online. Hey, good morning. I was just thinking about you just a little bit, and so maybe it's time for, I don't know, what do they call that? Ocular get-together, something like that. See each other. Where are we now? It's 7 o'clock, and Fox News Live is coming up next. On the other side of that, Kevin Kerrigan with a look at all the big stories that we're going to be talking about for the rest of the day. Jerry Roberts and the Friday Extra Point all ahead right here on The Point.
The president pushes back again on Lisa Brady, Fox News. A public feud that escalated yesterday with a scrapped infrastructure meeting continues.
I truly believe that the president has a bag of tricks, and the White House has a bag of tricks that they save for certain occasions.
Fox's John Decker is live at the White House.
Hours after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi suggested that President Trump's family conduct an intervention on the commander-in-chief, the president lobbed his own attack on the top Democrat in the House.
Crazy Nancy. I tell you what, I've been watching her, and I have been watching her for a long period of time. She's not the same person. She's lost it.
The president said Pelosi doesn't understand the new trade deal with Mexico and Canada, and he reiterated his position that he won't cooperate on any legislation until Democrats stop their investigations of the president and his family. Lisa?
Thanks, John. Behind the scenes, though, some bipartisan success in the U.S. Senate, just passing a $19 billion disaster relief bill after Republican leaders agreed to drop the president's request to include border-related funding. The president's remarks about Speaker Pelosi came during an event to announce $16 billion in aid for U.S. farmers hurt by the trade dispute with China. Also taking questions on Iran. The president says he'll send troops to the Middle East if they're needed, but he doesn't think they will be.
We will soon have the strongest military that we've ever had by far. and nobody's going to mess with us, okay?
Earlier today, the acting defense chief Shanahan disputing reports of possible plans for as many as 10,000 troops.
What we're focused on right now is, do we have the right force protection in the Middle East? And as soon as there's a change, I promise I'll give you an update, but those numbers are not correct.
The president has a Pentagon briefing at this hour. This is Fox News.
We know too well the inconvenience of not having power after a storm. You worry about the food in the freezer going bad. Nights get hot. It's hard finding comfort when going to sleep. These are realities. But with solar and battery storage from Micronesia Renewable Energy, these realities can be a thing of the past. The solar works during the day and the batteries power your home at night. Call 632-2613 to see how solar plus battery storage can make life a little more convenient. MRE, the smarter choice.
Legends aren't born, they are made. And during our Jeep Celebration event at Cars Plus and Mighty, you'll receive up to $6,000 in accessories with the purchase of a new Jeep Wrangler, Motor Trend SUV of the Year. Customize your new Jeep to the way you want it. Or how about a new Jeep Grand Cherokee? Save up to $5,000. Or save up to $7,500 on a new Jeep Compass Sport. It's our Jeep Celebration event going on now at Cars Plus and Mighty. Cars Plus, driven by you. Accessory special cannot be combined with other offers. See dealer for details.
There's still a risk of more tornadoes and flooding in parts of the central U.S. after the latest outbreak of tornadoes hit Missouri last night, killing at least 3 people in Golden City and leaving a trail of damage in the capital city, Jefferson City, as well. The National Weather Service confirming today that a large and destructive twister moved over Jefferson City just before midnight. President Trump says he would have stopped the release of convicted Taliban fighter John Walker Lindh if he could have.
But we'll be watching him. We'll be watching him closely. What bothers me more than anything else is that here's a man who has not given up his proclamation of terror.
Lindh was released from prison in Indiana earlier today with conditions after serving 17 years of a 20-year sentence. He pleaded guilty to helping the Taliban but was not charged in the death of a CIA officer killed in a prison uprising in Afghanistan after interrogating Lindh. The Justice Department just announcing charges against the WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. He's charged with receiving and publishing classified information. An 18-count indictment just announced. They go beyond an initial indictment made public last month that accused him of conspiring with former Army intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning to crack a Defense Department computer. A social media giant dumps billions of fake accounts.
Facebook says it removed over 3 billion fake accounts between October and March, twice as many as the previous 6 months. In a blog post, reps say the increase is due to automated attacks by bad actors attempting to create large volumes of accounts at one time. Facebook continues to upgrade its detection tools to flag bot accounts spreading spam or misleading content and says most were blocked within minutes of creation. With 2.4 billion active monthly users, the company estimates about 5% are fake.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin and Lisa Brady. And this is Fox News.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
GRMC's cardiology department treats most complex heart problems. In our catheterization lab, cardiologists use imaging equipment to treat clogged arteries that can cause heart attacks or heart failure. We perform balloon angioplasty, stenting, and other life-saving cardiac procedures. If you suffer from a heart condition, have your provider refer you to GRMC's cardiology clinic at 645-5500. GRMC, where patients are partners.
Hey, it's Mom. Somebody forgot to thaw the chicken, so meet us at Chili's for 2 for $25. Oh, and congratulate your sister for making the basketball team. She's thrilled. Love you. See you at Chili's.
Enjoy 2 full meal combos for $25. An appetizer, 2 mouth-watering entrees like our crispy chicken breast, smoked barbecue quarter leg, or smoked jalapeno cheddar sausage. Served with corn on the cob and French fries. 2 bold combos for $25. A full-on meal deal available nightly for a limited time. Together, we Chili's.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 7 a.m. this Friday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Former Guam Customs Lieutenant Henry Alvendia has been sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in a federal prison after pleading guilty to accepting more than $30,000 in bribes and kickbacks while serving as a Guam Customs officer. He could have faced up to 71 months in prison, but he was granted a major sentence reduction because of his help in prosecuting one of Guam's largest meth cases. During his sentencing hearing in district court yesterday, Assistant U.S. Attorney Fred Black said that in his 40 years of practice as an attorney, he has never seen any defendant cooperate in a case more than Alvendia. It may be impossible to completely eliminate the meth market on Guam, said Black, but it may be mitigated through the cooperation of individuals like Alvendia. Alvendia played a key role in the prosecution of the drug case against Raymond Martinez and Juanita Mosier. He recorded weeks of contact between himself and the couple who were accused in a conspiracy to smuggle 8 pounds of methamphetamine from California to Guam. Department of Public Works Director Vince Areola has launched an investigation into the conduct of a school bus driver who told a 3rd and 4th grader on his bus to get off and walk back to the nearest bus stop after the youngsters told the driver they'd accidentally gotten on the wrong school bus. The brother and sister attend Atticao Elementary School and live in the Laddie Heights area. They were forced off the bus Tuesday afternoon, far from their home, on Route 15. Fortunately, a Good Samaritan stopped to pick them up and drove them home safely. In a statement issued yesterday by the governor's office, Areola called the incident extremely disturbing. He said he apologized to the family and the children for the anxiety and stress they suffered. A full and thorough investigation is being conducted to determine if disciplinary action is warranted, said Areola. The incident has my highest level of attention. DPW policy requires if a student boards the wrong school bus, they should be taken back to their school or to the nearest mayor's office. We'll have more news after this.
Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Business travel just got easier. Take your data plan with you for only $10 a day to all 17 Data-to-Go destinations. Never worry about additional data roaming charges when you go where your business needs you. The U.S., China, Thailand, and so much more. Have the assurance you need to check emails, surf the web, and stay connected. Call 688-2677 today to make sure your account is Data-to-Go ready. Docomo Pacific. Better together.
10 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. Guam Power Authority General Manager John Benavente told lawmakers yesterday that GPA is implementing pay raises across the board for all its employees, not just executives. He explained that GPA has to attract and retain employees, otherwise the utility is going to go backward. As of last year, Benavente said, the salary levels of all GPA employees was at the 15th percentile of the average compensation level for utility employees in comparable stateside markets. This year, he said, the utility is working to move everybody up to the 20th percentile. Benavente told senators it costs a lot of money, but they're slowly inching up without having to increase rates. Benavente and Consolidated Commission on Utilities Chairman Joey Duenas testified yesterday at an oversight hearing on GPA called by Oversight Chair Senator Clint Rigel. Duenas said GPA has been able to afford paying its employees more because it has reduced its workforce by using technology. The oversight hearing was called in the wake of the controversy over the pay raises and bonuses for power and water utility executives, which were discussed by the CCU in a closed-door meeting last November. Duenas said he was never informed by any attorney that there was a provision that required discussion on salaries be conducted only in open session. He said the pay raises have been rescinded and the employees have been required to give the money back. The CCU, he said, might revisit the salary increments in public session sometime in the future, but there are no plans to do that right now, said Duenas. A former tax preparer who participated in a scam to fraudulently register luxury vehicles at Prestige Auto will not serve any time in prison because of her substantial cooperation in the prosecution of the case. Anna Christine Absalon was sentenced to just 1 year of probation in district court yesterday. Absalon held nothing back in terms of her cooperation, said Assistant Attorney General Sean Brown during the sentencing hearing. Absalon was accused of using the identities of some of the clients for whom she prepared tax returns and using that information to register luxury cars that were ultimately shipped to buyers in China. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with some weather.
So you remember the weather that we had yesterday? Probably going to be doing about the same thing today. Most of the same atmospherics are about there that are going to bring in some clouds into the skies and some isolated showers, maybe even some isolated thunderstorms in the mix. Sunset tonight, what'd you say sunset was? 6 when?
It should be about 6:42 or so.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, about the same time as yesterday. Sun coming up tomorrow and actually all weekend long at about 5:53. It'll get down to 5:52 sometime next week. We're going to just pop on over to the radar real quick. Yeah, we're looking at just, a mix of clouds and sun, some isolated showers, maybe some island effect thunderstorms today. Because as you mentioned, the atmosphere is still kind of the same as it was yesterday, mainly because everything's just moving very slowly. Things are moving in a different direction today. We're getting a flow now more from the east. And so it looks like maybe a lot of this rain that may build up in the afternoon could be north side or even west side, as opposed to north side and east like it was yesterday. So it'll be a little different scenario. But this afternoon, we can probably expect that to happen again because as we look at the radar, we can see plenty of moisture to our east moving slowly in this direction. Looking on satellite, it's a little less conspicuous because it's just all low-level moisture that we're picking up on radar. Not a whole lot of clouds out there. We do have some blobbage off to the northwest, but I think that's going to stay away. We're not seeing any signs of that coming in. And we're looking at just basically more of this kind of weather for today and tomorrow. Then on Sunday, the trade winds will come on back in. That'll pick our winds back up from the northeast, like we like them, and then bring us back to more of a seasonal, kind of an isolated thunderstorm kind of thing. And at that point, we just wait for the next big weather thing to happen. And who knows when that will be.
Yeah, because it's been fairly quiet around here. And we have had days where there is almost nothing around Guam. You've seen multiple days in a row, a little bit of low atmosphere stuff, but not a whole lot of high atmosphere, not a whole lot of weather systems that are coming through here. And I'm okay with that. It's 7:14 in the morning. That's news and weather together here on The Point.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
Portions of the Ray Gibson Show, the fun parts of the program, especially brought to you by Micronesia Renewable Energy. There's never been a better time to go solar. Remind me to ask, well, I get Clint on the radio this morning. Remind me to ask him if they were able to get to any of the conversation about net metering. There's a lot of people, obviously going to clamor about pay raises going out to everybody at the Guam Power Authority, but there are some other issues that should have come up in that oversight hearing when it gets to be yesterday. We've also got portions of the program brought to you by American President Lines. APL is shipping the future. Guam Regional Medical City, first choice for all of your specialty care needs. And don't forget my friends over at Cars Plus, where they've got that Jeep celebration going on right now. You've always wanted a Jeep since you were a little kid. Go get one. And you're going to go, but I already got a car. So what? 2 cars. This is a Jeep. You can park it on the roof. Go and get one over at Cars Plus and ask them about $6,000 worth of parts and accessories for the purchase of your new Jeep Wrangler at Cars Plus in Mighty.
Getting you back to the talk faster. It's the Ray Gibson Show.
I got to break out the calculator. I got to break it out because I can't do the math in my head. Well, I can do the math in my head. I just can't do it on the fly. So I got the 61.32 minus 58.19. Okay, so I'll tell you what those numbers mean here in just a second. because I like to keep you in suspense. I like to do that. All right, now we take a look at how the markets did, because it's that time of the day where we look at what the markets did, and they're all down. What happened? I mean, everything is down. It's like, what, some kind of global financial apocalypse? A meltdown here like in Chernobyl? Dow Jones Industrial Average off 286 points, 25,490. NASDAQ at 76.28. There's 122 points worth of loss for them. Bigger sell-off than anything else, 1.58%. S&P 500 closing at 28.22. They drifted down 34 points. And the FTSE going to open down. The Nikkei off by 132 points. I got the Hang Seng Index. Check this out, 438 points. But the Hang Seng, that's a big volume on that market. So it's 27,267. So even though they're off by 438 points, that still only accounts for about 1.5%. Shanghai Index down to 2,852, and the DAX at 119. So normally you see something like this, and you start to take a look and say, all right, the markets are moving backwards on stocks. What about bonds? Sometimes those move opposite to the market, but they're all trading in fairly narrow range. Changes of less than a point for just about every major bond that you can buy. It's 10 years and 30 years and 5-year notes aren't off by a whole lot, but they are definitely off. So I don't know. I'll do a little bit more research. I wasn't really paying attention to that. I was looking at some other things on the social medias and in the numbers. And that's why I had to break out my calculator, because I can't do the math in my head. $61.32. That was what a barrel was going for yesterday for a barrel of West Texas crude. The new number today is $58.19. $3.13 worth of a drop in the price of West Texas crude. That's the U.S. benchmark. And does not necessarily have a whole lot of relevance to what we're doing here, unless you buy your gas at the auto port. If you buy your gasoline on base, that is keyed, that is indexed to, I believe, the stateside national average. Not necessarily what, certainly not the same as what you're going to get off base. Tapis crude trading at $75.09. Yesterday it was $75.63. So we've seen a little bit of a drop backwards for Tapis, but certainly not as big as West Texas crude today. So $58.19. Where does that help us? 10-day average. That's how they get charged to when GPA buys gasoline. So as you know, big drop like that makes a difference in the average, right? So we see a few more like that over the next few days, and who knows, we might be able to get the oil prices sufficient so we can cover all of those raises that they want to hand out over at the Guam Power Authority. Did you see that? Mike Todd, turn on the Jerry thing. Okay. Yeah. Did you see that? They want to hand you. It's like an Oprah thing. You get a raise, and you get a raise, and you get a raise.
Well, the reasoning is interesting. That if they don't give the GPA, all the people at GPA a raise, they're all going to leave. That's kind of what John B.'s talking about, right? Is that we have to? They're only at the 15th percentile, so we have to raise them to the 20th percentile, or nobody's going to stay. That's kind of the implication.
Because John Fernandez, John Benementi could go and work for the other power company,
right?
Right.
Exactly.
Is because the other power company headhunting him.
Well, as we talked about, I mean, and look, I got friends at GPA, and they do a good job. The power's been off more this year, I think, than last year already. But the issue is that a lot of people there are in mission critical jobs. That you need to keep certain people. But a blanket thing across the board to bump them 5 percentile, I don't know about that one. I think there are some people that would probably, you're in jeopardy of losing them in certain positions. And if you have people like any other business, if they are in that position where if you lose this guy, this is real trouble, then that maybe is a slot you want to consider more highly for a raise than somebody else.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure that there's some kind of
right.
Yeah, we look at somebody's position, say that's a hot sales guy. I'd hate to lose him to my competitor, right? And so we find a way that normally it's a 6% commission on collections, yada yada. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, because you're doing such a great job, I'm gonna increase your threshold, but if you hit it, I'll get you 10%. And you mix and match on all these things if you want to make sure that you can keep your guy. But if it's somebody that's just flipping burgers, or the guy that empties the wastebasket here at the radio station, you know what? If I don't feel like I need to pay him a whole lot extra for that position, because frankly, if he were to leave, I could find somebody else with the same skill set and probably bring him in for lower.
Yeah, and maybe so. And the other factor is,
I mean, unless I really like you.
Well, and that's part of the equation too. But other agencies are going to be watching what happens with GPA. I mean, waterworks, they're going to be looking at this and saying, well, if this flies with GPA, we can we can use the same criteria, the same line, and get our raises. Why don't you bring John B in here? I mean, he ought to just come in here and lay it out and say, here's what we're doing. You can ask him questions.
Yeah, well, we've had questions like that before, but I don't know that it passes the smell test with the majority of the listeners because the answers are going to be exactly that. We can predict what the answers are going to be and in which job categories I've really got to hold on to a guy, and so maybe it's not line guys, maybe it's not the pole climbers, maybe it's not these guys, maybe they're just worried about, we've got some really good secretaries here. We don't want to lose them to the port. We don't want to lose them to the airport. We don't want to lose them. They know how things work around here, and we might lose them to a lateral transfer to another department or agency in the government of Guam.
Okay, and there is that argument, but the point is, how many employees are in GPA?
And then you get Ken Leon Guerrero makes the argument that look, let's scale things to the size of the market here. We can look and see what somebody running a power company in Northern California is going to be making, and he serves 2 million people, 10 million people, and do it on almost a pro rata basis. Do we want to have that kind of thing? Do we want to scale the salary level of our executive management in something as important as power and water? Do we want to make that based on 166,000 people versus somebody in a similar job making similar money in a much larger market?
Exactly. I mean, all these are factors that people put together in determining wages. I mean, this is a legitimate argument, and I think GPA should come to the table, and this should be a public issue.
Well, they did. They went to the table yesterday over at the legislature.
Yeah. And here's what we intend to do. I mean, I think essentially this should be a public
Should they have telegraphed that first as opposed to having it come out in an oversight hearing?
I don't know.
It's amazing the things that we learn in oversight hearings. You remember B.J. Cruz was having a hearing over at the legislature on some of the spend at the Guam Fire Department. That's when we found out that there was no money in the 911 fund.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, really? Is there a time you could have told us about this as opposed to the thing? Uncle Robert's online. I got Rudy Magallanes, Galo Perez. Michael Knight's online.
I'm sorry to interrupt, guys, but my oatmeal is crunchy this morning.
Is it? That's a GWA thing. Did you use regular GWA water for that?
No, I used our filtered stuff.
Then you did something wrong.
Could be some pets.
How'd you cook it today? Did you use power?
Use electricity?
Well, then
you can thank GPA for that.
Thank GPA that your oatmeal came out crunchy today.
Oh, right on.
I got Melissa Salas Akimoto is online, and hey, do me a favor, tell Dr. Phil, tell your husband that I need to see Dr. Phil about my ankle sometime next week. I'd really appreciate that. Charlie Hermosa's on, and you know who I want to know is online. They're usually on first thing in the morning. Tony and Annette and Pinko Ada, and that is from the Ada's Funeral Home people. And I'm curious if this service might be available to them sometime soon.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Washington, I don't know if it's the state or the city.
It is the state of Washington.
The state of Washington has become the first state to allow you to compost your loved ones rather than cremate them or bury them.
This is going to be this is going to get crazy.
Right?
I read the story a couple of days ago. It's incredible.
How does it work?
Essentially,
because a cremation's cremation. They stick you under a jet.
And there's ashes, and they scatter you. In this case, they put you in a vat, and they put wood chips and other things on top, and you basically compost down to soil. You become topsoil. Does that sound crazy?
There smells?
I don't know.
Do we still do embalming of any kind?
No. You go down to topsoil, and then the thing is you're free to take that topsoil and use it in your garden or wherever you want, and grow vegetables or something.
The hippies have taken over. It's 7:25 in the morning. There's the very familiar.
You can literally say those are Uncle Harry's tomatoes, but he's been dead for 10 years.
Grandpa still grows nice roses. Isn't that special? It's hey, do you know what I'm thinking? How do we come? Everything is about marijuana now.
Oh no!
Everything is about marijuana. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way, Jerry. We got it. We got to come up with a way that we can do this now. Is if we see you compost.
I can't do this extra point today. I'm sorry.
we compost somebody.
Hopefully, his name is Bud.
James Howard, right, Bud? Well, James Howard will be the first, right? So he'll get composted, and we'll start delivering James Howard's. He ought to be, hell, he ought to be sprouting marijuana without even the seeds.
He might have something to say about all this, though.
Thing. I'm just saying. But we start selling all Guam's favorite heads, guys, right? Guam's favorite stoners. We'll start selling their composted bodies. And for people that want to grow marijuana, there's got to be something. There's got to be something about that where you get all these built-up resins in somebody's body that makes it through the biotransference process.
One thing about
you're literally your topsoil is THC enhanced already,
and his strain already has a name. It's the Howard Experience.
Love that. 726 in Ordinary. Sure, you can't go on.
I don't know.
How's your website?
Website's up. Market's down. Website's up.
That's the good news.
All the files, including this one today, is already up there.
What did they find out? What was it?
Very small. There are 15 files that somehow got in there and were sticking out.
Mm-hmm.
And they were
critical files, apparently.
No, they were just called phishing files. PHISH. They were faking something else, and we found them. They scanned for them, found them. I went in, took them out. That was it. Done.
Finished.
Back
online.
Turned back online.
Troy Torres online. Director Cho online. Javier Athalig online. Uncle Robert, Rudy Magallanes, and more just in time for Jerry Roberts in today's Extra Point, brought to you by Guahan Insurance Services and the folks over at First Hawaiian Bank.
Thinking about composting now. I'm not sure I'm going to get through this. Some interesting things are going on in the human resources side of things that most observers have found surprising. Today, let's catch up on trends that are raising some eyebrows on the Extra Point.
It's important to have claims process that works for you. At Guahan Insurance Services, we make things simple and convenient. Same door you walk in to purchase your insurance is the same door you open to file your claim. We can't pretend that the car insurance claims process is fun, but we can promise a hassle-free and speedy recovery without any runarounds. For your home, auto, and business insurance, visit us at the Camacho Landmark Center on Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook or give us a call at 475-1162 or text 929-SAVE. That's 929-7283.
If you're driving, chances are you'll need gas soon. And by the growl in your tummy, a trip to the grocery store too. But don't just buy gas and groceries without getting double miles. Instead, apply for the new United Credit Card from First Hawaiian Bank and start earning double miles towards your next trip. Gas, groceries, getaway. With the new United Credit Card, apply at FHB.com. First Hawaiian Bank, member FDIC. Equal housing lender. Additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
While we hear that there are 7 million jobs available in the mainland U.S. right now, there is other information that points out some of the challenges employers there are facing. Let me give you an example. One industry that is having severe troubles filling positions is the restaurant business, and for a reason that economists seem to have overlooked. The majority of millennials and Generation Zs don't want to work in restaurants. Who would have guessed that? While it's still the main source of workers across the business, because those are huge generations, research shows that fewer people in those age groups intend to seek that type of employment. This is having a major impact on every level of the industry, which has always relied upon young talent to fill its employee rosters. Think about it. How will restaurants be able to keep up their level of service without kids getting their early experience there? One answer will be hiring more older workers. Another will be forms of automation that will eliminate jobs, particularly in the fast food business. While compensation has improved, the fact remains that the majority of youthful workers live paycheck to paycheck, as does about 80% of the total U.S. workforce. Another growing trend has actually made life a bit easier for those folks: instant pay apps that give cash to workers prior to payday. It's not a brand new concept. These services allow workers to grab advances on their pay and gives them relief from high-interest payday loans. What is new is that employers are now taking advantage of these services to improve employee recruitment and retention. Workers who are reasonably happy with their job may stay longer if they don't have to wait for their normal payday and can regularly get quick money for their daily needs. It gets even better for the workers. Many employers pay the small fee charge to get the advance, usually around $3. That's a pretty cheap way to say, hey, we know times can be tough. Let us help a little bit. It's proven to be a pretty good investment, as eateries report retention numbers have improved as a result. Another issue that is expected to gather steam in the next few years is fewer kids are going to choose a 4-year college or university to prepare them for the job market. The cost of higher education is the only economic factor that outpaces health care. Larger numbers of young people are rejecting the notion that taking on student loans in numbers as high as $200,000 or even more makes any sense for them. Instead, more are pursuing a trade where there is little to no debt involved and starting pay is often very good. In addition, we'll see industry-specific schools opening doors, and companies will have a greater say in curriculum, meaning that people will come out faster, they'll be more focused, and better equipped to deliver value to their employer right away. Bob Dylan said it in the 60s, and it's just as true today. The times, they are a-changin', and we all had better be ready to change right along with them. That's the Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, The Ray Gibson Show, Guahan Insurance Services, and First Hawaiian Bank. I'm Jerry Roberts.
Thank you, Jerry Roberts. 7:32 in the morning. You have a fantastic three-day weekend.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
see you on Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning, we all get back together, and that's the programming note. So, and I'd like to say it as much as possible, not because I'm bragging that I'm taking Monday off. It's just that when I'm not here, everybody knows my WhatsApp number, right? So they WhatsApp me, usually starting about 6 o'clock going, where are you? Where's the morning show? Are you off the air? What's going on? So we're not going to be on the air on Monday morning. Jerry Roberts sleeping in. Kevin Kerrigan is going to be sleeping in. Michael Knight, we're just indisposed to sleeping in, but he's going to be off doing something important and critical, I'm sure. Composting is what we're going to be up to. It's 7:32 and time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, Derek Evan Baza Hills has been arrested again. This time, the former senatorial candidate is being accused of wrecking his own home and then falsely reporting that he was the victim of a burglary. Hills is charged with making a false report and unsworn falsification, both as misdemeanors. The magistrate complaint states that officers responded to a reported burglary at Hills's home around 5:20 Tuesday afternoon. When they got there, Hills reportedly told the officers that he awoke to a loud bang and the sound of shattered glass. He claimed a hooded man came in through the window, tried to attack him. He said he defended himself first with a stick, then with a knife. The officers noted it would have been impossible for a man to crawl through the window because the break in the glass was too small. Hills then said the altercation took place outside. However, police concluded no burglary occurred and the damage was caused by Hills, according to the report. Hills then reportedly confessed to having made it all up because he didn't want his mother to find out that he had locked himself out of the house and broke the window to get in. Hills was arrested last year for posing as a law enforcement officer and attempting to coerce money from tourists. The Navy's explosive ordnance disposal team yesterday removed a World War II-era pineapple grenade that was on display in the Foci shop in Tuman. Store administrator Carlo Dela Cruz telling the Guam Daily Post that a beachgoer dropped it off at the store about 2 weeks ago. He said it was rusted, but they thought it looked cool, and they put it on display. A military service member who happened to walk into the store saw the grenade and advised store management to contact the emergency ordnance disposal team and have the grenade taken away. Dela Cruz said the serviceman pointed out that there was no detonator on the grenade, so it would not explode, but it was still a live grenade. Guam police fire units arrived about 12:30 yesterday afternoon. The Foci store was evacuated. EOD was called. They took the grenade away for safe disposal. The FBI offering a reward of up to $25,000 for information leading to the whereabouts of Paloma and Melania Luke. Tomorrow is National Missing Children's Day and marks the 8th anniversary of the girls' disappearance. The sisters were last seen waiting at their school bus stop in Saipan on the morning of May 25th, 2011. An FBI release announcing the reward yesterday states that the FBI and the CNMI Department of Public Safety remain committed to finding the missing girls. In October last year, the FBI announced the launch of a new website to solicit tips and information about the girls. Anyone with information can go to that website, www.lukesisters.org, or call the FBI. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
Will do. I was thinking about Derek Baza Hills and now a new case of him lying to the cops. What was he trying to hide? What was the whole point of the conversation and the calls to the police?
Well, apparently, according to the magistrate's report, he lost his keys and had to break into the home through the window, and that's why the window was broken. And apparently made up the story, allegedly, according to the magistrate complaint, so his mother wouldn't find out.
But ultimately, his mom just found out on the radio.
So he's been in trouble, and the question is why isn't he in jail? There are a couple of hard cases that he has been associated with. You go back to last year, posing as a police officer and trying to get money from a bunch of tourists. You remember that one?
Pending trial. We just talked about it. Yeah.
And then we'll go back to March of 2017, where it was alleged to have stolen a cell phone out of a couple of cell phones over at MacTech. And then you go back to February of 2017, and he was holding a fraudulent prescription for real drugs, for some Oxy.
He's in a whole lot of trouble.
Well, I don't know, but apparently he's still allowed to run around and make more trouble. 7:37 in the morning. And again, it's the problem with the system. Break the wheel, the guy says. Cousin Louie, I'll get to you in a second. Clint Rigel also coming up in the next half hour. So everybody stick around. Going to be some interesting conversation. iConnect time is 7:37. Their number is 888-8888. Or find out about great deals, specials, and plans for you at iConnectGuam.com.
KFC has finally answered the world's most important question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And the answer is both. Introducing KFC's KFC AM, their new Southern and local-inspired breakfast. AM-loaded platter with chicken fried rice, waffles, and Colonel's chicken congee. KFC also has your all-time favorites, AM chicken and egg wraps, Southern biscuit and sausage sandwich, and hash browns. So for finger-licking good mornings, AM will never be the same at KFC. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Wait, because I didn't have the thing up. I don't got the traffic gizmo up. It's take a second for it to load. All right, there it is. Traffic gizmo is telling me, yep, the usual hotspots for traffic going to be working against you this morning. Doesn't look like there's any accidents or anything, but 8, 10, and 16 and the intersection of 1 and 3, big chunks of Marine Corps Drive as you're making your way southbound are going to busy up all the way in. Traffic in front of the airport slow because there are intersections there and a lot more traffic moving through some of those locations. Looking at traffic on the different roadways along the old hospital road and in San Antonio, you can expect to see some traffic around St. Anthony and the schools around those areas. Once you're trying to get into town, shouldn't be too much of a problem on Route 8. That seems to be running clear. A little bit of a backup in the Sinahanya area because, again, intersections. And then you've got traffic all the way into Sumai. Now, Sumai is starting to bubble up right now. My guess is it's going to be pretty thick down at the intersection of 1 and 2 for most of the morning. 20 away from 8 o'clock in the morning. Right now, traffic here on The Point.
We have some really great home loan programs, but did you know we have great business loans too? Every day we're working with companies to purchase equipment, to buy or build properties, or make tenant improvements. We offer letters of credit, working capital, and term loans, and we make all of our credit decisions here. Commercial loans, commercial banking from Bank Pacific.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, member FDIC. Viva Bank Pacific.
Yep, the times they are changing. That's what Jerry Roberts had to say about today's Extra Point. There's something that we chimed in together on earlier in the week, and that is the idea that there are going to be a lot of businesses for whom we cannot pay any more for this job, and we're not going to give you any more hours. But what we can do is pay you today. How you like that? Just you work 8 hours. I'll give you 7, pay for 7 hours, and the rest goes to administration. And maybe there will be something like a paycheck, and on the regular biweekly basis. But for all intents and purposes, we can bonus you. We can kind of benefit you that way. Starting to see a lot of that. Interesting conversation about that and other changes that might be taking place in the coming workforce that's in front of us right now. As millennials and the Z players just aren't playing it the same way that you and I did when we were kids. Good morning, Cousin Louie.
Yeah, Ray, it's interesting. I called in to make a comment about the point you're talking about right now.
Yeah.
So let's do some simple first-grade math here. So let's say an employer or an individual is taking advantage of the service that allows me to get paid, let's say, I get paid on Monday at the beginning of the week instead of on Friday at the end of the week. Okay, so if I'm needing that service, it means I probably don't have anything in savings, i.e., I'm living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
And, okay, that's the way things are. So if I'm living paycheck to paycheck, that implies that my expenses are rolling along at a standard rate. So what that means is 2 weeks from now, because I've spent my money, I need to get paid again early on Monday, 4 days earlier instead of Friday.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm getting at is for an individual that is using the service on a recurring basis every 2 weeks, it's only really helpful to you the first time you do it.
Because after that, you might get behind.
Right.
And the more aheader you get, the behinder you can get.
Exactly. So what I'm finding curious is if this trend is affecting hiring in the States now, what is the implication in terms of the numbers of people using it? Now, I can see where this is a helpful service if once in a while, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 times a year, I need to get paid early because I am able to save enough to take care of myself otherwise. But if that's the case where people are using it just occasionally, I find it curious that that's affecting hiring practices. So what I'm beginning to wonder is if this phenomena is affecting hiring practices, are so many people locked into, because I've used it once, I always now need to get paid on Monday instead of Friday, 4 days earlier. I'm locked into this for the rest of my career.
Yeah,
Is that the implication?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what the real life implications are because I have not seen it at work, and I've only heard about some companies, mostly fast food companies, that are starting to roll this out. And again, though, in my mind, it was curious to me because it was, I think, an indictment against the conversation about the increase in the minimum wages. It's very clear that there are a lot of businesses that need to keep people employed but aren't willing to pay them anymore for the job. For the job, we're flipping burgers, we're running we're driving a cash register. Those are kind of things that, I mean, there's a lot of demand for the employees to do them, but still, at the end of the day, the job isn't worth all that much. So I'm not going to pay you anymore. I'm not going to give you any more hours, but I will give you the opportunity to grab a couple of bucks out of the till before you leave before you check out today.
Yeah, but again, as per the conversation we just had, that only really benefits you the first time you do it.
Oh yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. But so in my mind, that's where my level of interest was on this story. And like I said, as far as actual use data is concerned, as far as the actual implications for those employees, and does it actually put them into a position where, hey, man, I spent 2 days worth of my salary. It didn't feel like I was spending 2 days worth of my salary, but I did, and now I can't buy gas, or now I can't make the car payment, or now I can't make rent.
Got it.
Yeah.
So let me throw a question at you, the answer to which I don't have. So
yeah, me neither.
Given that one of the reasons that has been used historically for increasing minimum wage is that minimum wage jobs don't provide a living wage, I understand the counter that minimum wage jobs are considered entry-level jobs by most of the people in the work industry, where it's not expected that you're going to stay there for the rest of your life. And so if we now have the situation where minimum wage jobs have fewer people going into it because people are just plain not interested, is the implication of that, I don't want to get into a field of work that is minimum wage because that's not what I want to do for the rest of my life, i.e., are there people now that are entering minimum wage jobs either with the plan or with the unfortunate circumstances that that's all they're going to do for the rest of their life?
I would hope not.
If people are seeing that ahead, no, I don't want to flip burgers for the rest of my life. That's why I'm not even going to take that as my first job.
Right, and I think that's why the thinking is in some places, Australia as an example, my favorite example, is they have 2 minimum wages. They have a minimum wage for people that are 15, 16, 17 years old, don't know anything, don't have good work habits, and need to be trained into a position. And maybe, they might go, yeah, that's nice. But what we don't want to do is encourage young people to be making, 20,000, what is it, 20 grand a year, and thinking that's great money. Because to a 16-year-old, it is great money, and it may prevent them from going on to higher education. May prevent them from trying to figure out how they can go from shift cook to a supervisor or manager. Because hey, listen, I'm making $20,000 a year because that's what the minimum wage is. Check that out. If you need more money, get myself a girlfriend, and we'll spit out a couple of babies, and we'll get in the Quest card. And so you hear what I'm saying about incentives when it comes to things like this, and then we get into as I said, in Australia it's bifurcated, so we have a young person's minimum wage, and for people for whom might just be having a hard time, or maybe needs a second job, we'll get you in there, but your minimum wage because you're 21 or over is going to be closer to $10 an hour, $11 an hour.
Boy, it'd be interesting to see whether or not that have any chance in the United States, because that implies uneven pay for the same kind of work.
Well, the concern that many people has is that as the minimum wage increases, then the employers are going to want older, more educated, and more experienced people, cutting out an opportunity for young people to learn how to work at age 15, 16, and 17. So there we go. Hey, I got Clint on the line. I got to bring him in because I need to do an oversight on the oversight.
Very good. Good discussion, Ray.
Talk to you pretty soon. 7:47 in the morning. I like it when Louis calls. It kind of smartens the place up for me. Also, Smart Senator Clint Rigel from the 35th Guam Legislature. Hey, Clint.
Feedback.
What?
Hi, good morning, Ray.
Am I on the speakerphone or am I Bluetoothy?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Maybe shout a little bit closer to wherever the microphone is in the car. A couple of questions.
Okay,
Let me start with one that I got online from Brad listening. Please ask Senator Clint if he would consider a bill that allows a solar user with good cells and capable batteries to cut the cord from GPA, i.e. Simon and John Beneventi's life support.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Yeah, well, I don't know that you need to make a bill. I think you can cut off your electricity anytime you want to if you can make your own.
Yeah, I think so. I think you can disconnect from the grid if you have enough solar energy and battery storage.
Yeah, but if you were to cut off from the grid, then you would not have the opportunity to sell your power back into the system for a credit back from the Guam Power Authority.
Yeah, that's true. And actually, that was one of the topics of our oversight hearing was the net metering program, which allows customers to do just that. So, would you like me to talk about that?
Yeah, let's start there. Let's start there. You know what? One of our clients is Micronesia Renewable Energy, and now they've got the value. They have a conversation about the value of solar and what comprises the value of solar. What are the elements that go into that that create a number that ought to be what the utility pays back these solar customers? And now we've got the value of solar with battery backup. So how does that change the equation? What did you learn yesterday from the powers at the power company?
Sure. Well, they stand by their petition. So GPA has made a petition to the PUC. It's in the PUC's hands now. Ultimately, it's up to the PUC to decide. But they have petitioned the PUC to lower the rate at which that GPA would credit power customers and net metering customers.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically their argument is that they believe they're paying too much. They're paying retail. They're paying basically the same rate that they charge customers.
Yeah.
And I think it's something fair because they're still charging the customer. They're just using it as a rate really to offset what their bill is, because most net metering customers are using power, at night, for example, especially those that don't have batteries yet. Now, batteries are a new thing that's coming on that might change that a little bit, but right now they usually use the power system during the nighttime, and then in the daytime they're feeding solar back into the system, and GPA is arguing that they should pay them a lower rate. They want to pay them 15 cents per kilowatt hour. They're currently paying them. See, and paying is sort of a loose term because they're actually not paying them cash. They're just giving them credits that are used to offset what their power bill is, and that allows them to lower their power bill. Currently the rate they credit them at is at the same rate that they charge the customers, which is I believe 26 cents per kilowatt hour, 25 or 26 cents per kilowatt hour. They want to lower it to 15. Their argument is because the people with net metering they need to pay for transmission and distribution and for using the grid. But I mean, I get that if you're talking about sort of charging like a power company like that wants to build a power plant and then sell the power to GPA to distribute, then I understand that because it's sort of a business thing, right? That power plant's going to make all this money off of it. And we're talking about individual homeowners here, and those individual homeowners are also being charged for power. So I think it's only fair that the power that the individual homeowner is being charged, the rate they're being charged at, they should be credited at the same rate that they're feeding power back into the system. And so their argument is that the power they're feeding back in the system is not worth that much, and that's where that value of solar study comes in that you're talking about. And the value of solar study actually shows that it is worth that much. It's worth within that range. There's a low of 21 cents per kilowatt hour. I think it depends on certain variables and scenarios. 21 cents per kilowatt hour up to 28 cents per kilowatt hour. It's how they gauge the value of solar. In addition to that, the PUC, the Public Utilities Commission themselves, commissioned a study to be done by this company called Daymark. And this Daymark company is a consultant firm, I believe, did their analysis of it, and they recommended that the PUC reject GPA's proposal. And they cited the facts that nationwide, most states are continuing to pay the same rate for their net metering customers. And they just went on and on about how this is something that Guam should continue to do, and that it's something that's good for the island as well. So I brought all of those issues up to the CCU chairman as well as the GM of the Guam Power Authority. And then we kind of went back and forth for a long time on it because they disagree. I disagree. They tried their best to convince me otherwise. And I said, I just disagree with your logic. I don't understand your reasoning behind it. So we kind of ended there with both of them.
Agree to disagree. Yeah. What does GPA's value of solar mean? And how do they factor in all of that? Or do they just say, look, we'll offset you by the cost of what we pay for fuel into the Guam Power Authority, and then we'll call it even?
Pretty much 15 cents. If you look at 15 cents is actually the LEAC rate. So,
yes.
I mean, I don't know if that's where they based it on, but that's the amount they want to pay, and it happens to be the same amount as LEAC. So I didn't get too deep into the weeds as far as
well, I mean, there's obviously nothing you can do. I mean, the rate's going to get set and determined by the Public Utilities Commission, but it would have been more interesting to see if there had been more conversation on something like that, because there are going to be people who would like to jump into solar and are trying to think in terms of, okay, at this rate of compensation from the Power Authority, how long is it going to take me to get my ROI, my return on investment? And if we go from a situation where it's 27 cents per kilowatt hour back down to 15, well, that virtually doubles the amount of time that it's going to take for you to be able to recover that investment, and that amount of time could make the difference between the survivability of the system over the long term. At any rate, and frankly, I like the idea of distributed distribution on an island-wide scale. I think that would be very, very cool with all of the different power feeding back into the system. Hey,
the topic we talked about too is distributed generation. Yes. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, I like the idea. You and I seem to be on the same page here, which is going to be irking those guys. The question and the thing that I think is irking most listeners and viewers this morning is the idea that you get a pay raise and you get a pay raise and you get a pay raise over at the Power Authority, and the disparity apparently that you picked up on the different percentiles that senior management is in versus rank and file over at the Power Authority.
Right, and so how that came about is they were, I was asking them about the raises, and they were justifying the raises. They stand by the raises. Well, at least Chairman Dueñas stands by the raises, feels they're justified, and part of his argument was he was saying they want to move everyone from GPA from that 15th percentile eventually up to the 50th percentile. So their argument is, oh, look, we're only at the 15th percentile. As far as, I guess nationwide, where Guam ranks with raises for utilities nationwide. Now, I don't know if they're looking even at comparable utilities. I didn't even get a chance to get into that. So, meaning size-wise. But, so 15th percentile. And so I asked, so are all of GPA's employees at the 15th percentile, including senior management? And then they kind of said, no, actually some senior management are at the 20th percentile. And then I said, so wait a minute, how many are the 15th percentile? And they gave the numbers. I did, quick math in my head, and I go, that sounds like a majority of employees are at the 15th percentile. Yes. Okay, so a majority of employees are at the 15th percentile. but some employees, including senior management, are at the 20th percentile. And they said, or higher. And I said, or higher. So how much? So it just kind of kept climbing. They're like, okay, well, some are at the 25th percentile. And so that's how I was able to notice that. And, you know, I asked them about, you know, do they think that was fair? What kind of message do they think they're sending to the employees? And their answer is the message they're sending to the employees is that they want to move everyone up to the 15th percentile. And I said, I see, move everyone. It's just senior management goes first. And then they didn't really have much to say after that.
Yeah, just well, it's a brilliant observation, Mr. Rigel. Thank you very much for noting, and it's noted at this time. You'd mentioned comparables here, and Jerry Roberts and I just a little bit ago in a little bit, not so much a debate, a discussion. How do we look at different departments and agencies and their leadership and determine what is a good rate of pay for them? I mean, do we look at a comparable salary of a person in that position, regardless of the size of the utility or the location of the utility? What is the guy that's running the power system in American Samoa making? What's the guy that's running the water system in American Samoa or the Virgin Islands or anywhere? What are those guys making? And do we use that as a benchmark, or do we do the standard rate that we pay a boss of a utility is $250,000 a year?
Right. I mean, well, I would say
where's the study backs it up?
Yeah, I don't know. And I would say we should take a look at, a utility that's the same size as Guam's utility. So look for something that's the same size as GPA roughly, and then compare what their guys are making and what their employees are making.
Yeah, Ken LG online. Ken LG online, Clint says, so based on where management is now, the target for senior management, once they move into that percentile, is going to be about $600,000 a year, which is about $1,000 per customer.
Wow. Yeah. See, I didn't even do that math. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah. Well, Ken's out there. I mean, Ken been looking at everybody's rate. I mean, we've got Angel Sablon over at the Mayor's Council, and he just got a raise. He's making some serious dough for the job of answering and keeping track of the mayors. Is that job, is there a reason why there's where the compensation level for that job is so high?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, that's what these wage studies are meant for, like the Hay study that was conducted a few years ago. I don't know if the Hay study was done for the Guam Power Authority or not. That's something I need to look into. I don't recall if they were included in the Hay study or not. So that's another way to take a look at it. And that's actually what there's firms that do this kind of analysis and come up with what people should be getting paid.
Is it possible, my friend, that maybe somebody needs to start taking a look at the powers of boards and commissions to implement pay raises in this town and either find a way to curb it or control it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something we should take a look at. I'm not sure who that would fall under for all the various boards and commissions. Maybe just something we all should do.
Everybody, let's make it democratic. We'll all vote on it. We'll put a poll out somewhere, and if you think JB's doing a good job and deserves a raise, then give me a number and we'll put it out there. Hey, dude, I can tell you're busy. You got a lot of stuff working. I wish you a good 3-day weekend. I hope I see you out there somewhere.
Thank you, Ray.
All right, buddy.
You too. Take care. Thank you.
888-8255-888-TALK. IIAAG and DOE parting company. And we'll talk with Terry DeBold in the next hour about what he thinks about that and what kind of unmitigated disaster on a scale of 1 to America he thinks it's going to be. We'll see what happens in a sec. Stick around, Brown. We're KUSG have gotten you. News is next.
Clearing one hurdle. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The Senate passing a $19 billion disaster relief bill designed to help a number of states and Puerto Rico recover after recent hurricanes, floods, and wildfires. President Trump says he will sign it if it passes the House, despite the measure not containing money for the border wall.
The answer is I totally support it. I'd like to see it happen. We'll take care of the immigration later.
The package has more than doubled in size since the House first addressed it last year. And the president with those comments during a news conference announcing $16 billion in aid for America's farmers.
We'll be taking in, over a period of time, hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs and charges to China. And our farmers will be greatly helped.
America's farmers have been hurt financially by Chinese tariffs. The money for the initiative will come from a farm support account controlled by the USDA, so it doesn't need congressional approval. An Illinois judge makes a ruling in the case involving actor Jussie Smollett. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Lisa, a judge said Smollett, known for the Fox TV series Empire, publicly commented about his case even though details were sealed. He was charged with lying to authorities and staging a hate crime last January. Those charges were suddenly dropped by Cook County Attorney Kim Foxx in March. Retired Judge Sheila O'Brien says it's a good step by Cook County Circuit Judge Stephen Watkins to open the file, but
it's not the court file that's all important. It's Ms. Fox's file and the decision-making process into how this case was handled.
O'Brien wants a special prosecutor to look into the decision to throw out the case, Lisa.
Gernal, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange now facing federal charges of receiving and publishing classified information. On Wall Street, the Dow lost 286, the NASDAQ off 122, the S&P slipped 34. This is Fox News.
Get a free Polar Pop, any size, when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy. Get a free coffee, any size, when you fuel up on $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy. Get $5 off any Circle K car wash package when you purchase $35 or more of premium high-performance fuel. Conditions apply. See stores for details. Circle K. Take it easy.
Hey, it's Mom. Somebody forgot to thaw the chicken, so meet us at Chili's for 2 for $25. Oh, and congratulate your sister for making the basketball team. She's thrilled. Love you. See you at Chili's.
Enjoy 2 full meal combos for $25. An appetizer, 2 mouth-watering entrees like our crispy chicken breast, smoked barbecue quarter leg, or smoked jalapeno cheddar sausage. Served with corn on the cob and french fries. 2 bold combos for $25. A full-on meal deal available nightly for a limited time. Together, we Chili's.
Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan pushing back on reports that 10,000 additional U.S. troops could be sent to the Middle East. Shanahan saying the numbers are not definite.
Officials say any increase in U.S. forces in the region could include a cruise missile submarine like USS Florida, where the U.S. Navy stores bombs and missiles. Florida is capable of firing over 150 Tomahawk cruise missiles. She fired 90 into Libya in 2011. Submarines are not required to surface before passing through the Strait of Hormuz and could move into the Persian Gulf undetected while submerged. Additional Patriot anti-aircraft missile systems are also being considered, we're told.
Fox's Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. At least 3 people have died after a tornado ripped through Jefferson City, Missouri. In northeast Oklahoma, residents are bracing for possible flooding as the Army Corps of Engineers prepares to increase the rate of flow from a dam northwest of Tulsa. Federal forecasters predict normal activity for this year's Atlantic hurricane season.
Forecasters at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration say this year will have 9 to 15 named storms.
Overall, the Atlantic hurricane season outlook calls for a near-normal season.
NOAA's Dr. Neil Jacobs adds 4 to 8 of those storms could grow into hurricanes, and of those, 2 to 4 could reach major status, meaning winds faster than 110 miles an hour. The Atlantic had its first storm this week. Subtropical storm Andrea was short-lived and stayed out to sea. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Just before the unofficial start of summer, the annual list of best beaches is out from Stephen Leatherman, also known as Dr. Beach. He's named Oahu's Kailua Beach in Park as the best. He uses 50 criteria to evaluate beaches, with the most important categories being water cleanliness, safety, and management of the beach environment and its facilities. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Whether you're going grocery shopping, taking the kids to the mall, or going to work, you need a reliable car that can take you where you need to go. A reliable car also needs reliable insurance. Let Nanbo Insurance make your auto insurance easy and uncomplicated. With Nanbo, you can also save big when you bundle up and insure your car, home, motorcycle, or business. Enjoy great savings up to 50%. Visit Nanbo.com or call 477-9754 for more details. Here at APL, our core values give the company its heart and soul. Whether it's connecting your business with our global network through our newly enhanced service or investing our efforts into giving back to the community, APL is committed to serving you. We humbly honor the opportunity to find innovative solutions for you and your business. To learn more about our enhanced service, call 588-4651 or visit www.apl.com/Guam for more details.
Hi, welcome to this Subway ad for the new Sweet and Smoky Steak and Guac Signature Wrap. How would you like it? I'll take my ex-girlfriend, just checking in. Aw.
Hey, David, it's me. Just checking in. I'm doing great. Just got the new Sweet and Smoky Steak and Guac Signature Wrap from Subway. Creamy guacamole, smoky sweet Wahio mesquite sauce, and double the tender steak. They just know what I want before I do. So, yeah, things are going pretty great for me. Subway, make it what you want. Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat based on average 6-inch sub. Okay, bye.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 8 a.m. this Friday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Department of Public Works Director Vince Areola has launched an investigation into the conduct of a school bus driver who told a 3rd and 4th grader on his bus to get off and walk back to the nearest bus stop after the youngsters told him they'd accidentally gotten on the wrong school bus. The brother and sister attend Atacao Elementary School and live in the Laddie Heights area, but they were forced off the bus on Tuesday afternoon far from their home on Route 15. Fortunately, a Good Samaritan stopped to pick them up and drove them home safely. In a statement yesterday issued from the governor's office, Areola called the incident extremely disturbing. He said he apologized to the family and the children for the anxiety and stress they suffered. A full and thorough investigation is being conducted, said Areola, to determine if disciplinary action is warranted against the driver. The incident, he said, has his highest level of attention. Department of Public Works policy requires if a student boards the wrong bus, they are supposed to be taken back to their school or to the nearest mayor's office. Guam Power Authority General Manager John Benavente telling lawmakers yesterday that GPA is implementing pay raises across the board for all its employees, not just executives. He explained that GPA has to attract and retain employees, otherwise the utility is going to go backward. As of last year, he said the salary levels of all GPA employees was at the 15th percentile of the average compensation level for utility employees in comparable stateside markets. This year, he said, the utility is working to move everybody up to the 20th percentile, and it may take a few more years to get them to the 50th percentile. Benavente told senators it costs a lot of money, but they're slowly inching up without having to increase rates. Benavente and Consolidated Commission on Utilities Chairman Joey Duenas testified yesterday at an oversight hearing on GPA called by Oversight Chair Senator Clint Rigel. Duenas said GPA has been able to afford paying its employees more because it has reduced its workforce by using technology. The oversight hearing was called in the wake of the controversy over the pay raises and bonuses for power and water utility executives, which were discussed by the CCU in a closed-door meeting last November. Duenas said he was never informed by any attorney that there was a provision that required discussion of salaries be conducted only in open session. He said the pay raises have since been rescinded and the employees have been required to give the money back. The CCU said might revisit the salary increments sometime in the future, but there are no plans to do that right now, said Duenas. We'll have more news after this.
Legends aren't born, they are made. And during our Jeep Celebration event at Cars Plus and Mighty, you'll receive up to $6,000 in accessories with the purchase of a new Jeep Wrangler, Motor Trend SUV of the Year. Customize your new Jeep to the way you want it. Or how about a new Jeep Grand Cherokee? Save up to $5,000. Or save up to $7,500 on a new Jeep Compass Sport. It's our Jeep Celebration event going on now at Cars Plus and Mighty. Cars Plus, driven by you. Accessory special content not be combined with other offers. See dealer for details.
When your family needs medical care, how often do you find the need to visit multiple clinics? When a child has a serious ailment, do you find yourself meeting a medical provider only to learn you must go somewhere else for testing? At the FHP Health Center, you can find multiple specialties and testing services under one roof. And if your family needs urgent care, FHP is there for you with convenient weekday, evening, and weekend hours. Voted the island's best clinic in Pika's Best 2 years in a row. FHP, our island, your clinic. Learn more at fhpguam.com.
11 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. Former Guam Customs Lieutenant Henry Alvendia has been sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in a federal prison after pleading guilty to accepting more than $30,000 in bribes and kickbacks while serving as a Guam Customs officer. He could have faced up to 71 months in prison, but he was granted a major sentence reduction because of his help in prosecuting one of Guam's biggest meth cases. During his sentencing hearing in district court, Assistant U.S. Attorney Fred Black said that in his 40 years of practice as an attorney, he has never seen any defendant cooperate in a case more than Alvendia. It may be impossible to completely eliminate the meth market on Guam, said Black, but it may be mitigated through the cooperation of people like Alvendia. Alvendia played a key role in the prosecution of the drug case against Raymond Martinez and Juanita Mosier. He recorded weeks of contact between himself and the couple, who were accused in a conspiracy to smuggle 8 pounds of methamphetamine from California to Guam. 33-year-old Rambo Comis is facing allegations of carjacking, burglary, assaulting a police officer, and possession of a Schedule II drug after he allegedly forced his way onto a tour bus and started punching the driver. According to the magistrate complaint, the tour bus driver had just dropped off some students after a field trip and was heading down Route 8 in Mighty. When he stopped at a stoplight, he saw Comis get out of his pickup, walk towards the bus, force the bus door opens, and climb onto the bus. The driver says Comis then punched him in the head repeatedly, yelling at him, asking where his daughter was. Driver says he doesn't know Comis or his daughter. Comis was arrested, taken to the Tumon-Tamuning precinct, where when he got there, according to the complaint, he asked to use the restroom, and when officers removed his handcuffs, Comis allegedly swung at one of the officers. According to the complaint, Comis confessed to having drunk beer and smoked ice before the incident. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray and Mike now with some weather.
Like I said, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this makes 10 incidents involving guys named Rambo going back to 2013. So if you know a guy named Rambo, just keep a healthy distance, I'd say.
That's why you should be careful what you name your kids, because they'll grow up thinking they got something to prove.
Yeah, they got all kinds of Rambos in the magistrate reports going back a bunch of years. All right, let me see if I can do something about the weather forecast here today. What have I got? Hold on, let me just refresh this while I'm yakking. Partly to mostly cloudy, scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. We've got light and variable winds through tomorrow, becoming northeast at 15 to 20 miles an hour Sunday and Monday. Opportunities for grill marks late into the weekend, Sunday and Monday, should be pretty good.
Yeah, it's looking better for later on in the weekend. Also, the holiday Sunday, Monday looks great. Today and tomorrow going to be much like yesterday was. There'll be a little twist in it. If we take a look at radar real quick, we can see there's actually lots of moisture out there to our east and to our south, and it's slowly working its way towards us. And with that slow flow, that means we have the potential for that moisture to arrive on the island. The land will heat it up later this afternoon, and then it will continue moving very slowly as it moves and rains itself out. This is starting to look like one of those situations where the west side of the island is probably going to get most of the rain this afternoon. So, all the way from Agate all the way up to Retidian. You can expect some type of rainfall probably, and some of it could be pretty heavy. Lower Tumon, watch out. Could be some flooding this afternoon because those heavy showers like to stick around. They just don't move that fast.
So a question from a friend of mine, and has to do with sports, and we're about to launch into sports in a little bit. The question is, there's a major ultimate Frisbee tournament taking place this weekend.
Yeah.
In fact, it's going to be the first of them is going to be at Leo Palace. That's how big it is. They're using the soccer field at Leo Palace for this ultimate Frisbee, and then it's going to move over to Jimmy D's, I think, on Sundays. But so the question is, will the weather conditions be conducive to Ultimate Frisbee for this weekend?
You know, actually, like for today or tomorrow, like Saturday, you'll have a good day out there because there won't be a lot of wind, so you'll be able to control the disc a little bit better. On Sunday, Monday, if you got any playing plans there, the wind's going to kick up, so that's going to make it a little bit harder to try to steer that disc, but still will be a good day because you'll have the wind cooling you off. It's going to be hot both days.
No worse. I mean, we're not talking about wind any worse than we've got most days. 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, right?
Just typical trade wind winds. No big deal.
Gotcha.
So it should be great.
Yeah, you know, personally though, for me, I don't know why they're not doing more contact frisbee. I think that would make it more fun, and exciting for people if there was some kind of physical contact in there. So that's what we've got for you. Sunset tonight at 6:42. Sunrise this morning was at 5:53. Going to come up early tomorrow for the marathon or the half marathon. We'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes. 8:15. News and weather together here in the Point.
Let's go for a drive.
Let's take a stroll.
Let's gallivant.
Let's go cruising.
We all have different ways to describe how we get up and go in our cars. But whatever you may call it, you can do more of it when you save 6% off your fuel purchases at any Shell station when you use your eligible Bank of Guam Visa and MasterCard credit cards. So stop by any Guam or CNMI Shell station and start saving today. Visit bankofguam.com for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Member FDIC.
So many people. I want to say thanks very much for supporting this program. Guam Regional Medical City, the first choice for your specialty care needs. Micronesia Renewable Energy. Never been a better time to go solar. They got batteries that can get attached to your solar panels. Give them a call for a free consultation. And American President Lines, where they're shipping the future.
Business travel just got easier. Take your data plan with you for only $10 a day to all 17 Data2Go destinations. Never worry about additional data roaming charges when you go where your business needs you. The US, China, Thailand, and so much more. Have the assurance you need to check emails, surf the web, and stay connected. Call 688-2677 today to make sure your account is Data2Go ready. Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Portions of the Ray Gibson Show also being brought to you by Take Care Insurance. My friends over at Security Title, if you've got a complex real estate deal that you've got to get through, these guys have been in the business forever. They've seen everything, and they can help you, walk you through it. Ron and Kim know everything about real estate and title searches here on Guam. Make sure there's no dark spots on that. Portions of the program brought to you by Joey, Jan, and Dunge over at Cars Plus. Still in that Jeep celebration. Get yourself behind the wheel of a new Jeep Wrangler, and you might also be able to find a way to get yourself about $6,000 worth of parts and accessories at Cars Plus in Mighty. And Nanbo Insurance, once you bought that Wrangler, take it over to Nanbo and get yourself part of their insurance plan. They've got a special button on the computer that spits out the reports, and it's called Bundle Up Plan. So you go in with the house and the properties and the car over here and a motorcycle and a jet ski and all that, and they press the Bundle Up button and spit out a different price for you. It could be up to 50% less with Nanbo Insurance.
It's the Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Yes, can do. And we're gonna get into sports with Blake real quick here today because as has been reported in a number of places, including right here and in the Guam Daily Post, we've now got the D-Link Department of Education from the IIAAG, and the controversy has already started. You got James Lujan saying, "Man, I don't know why we have to make it so if you don't get at least a 2.0, you cannot play in the sports." And everybody in the world that I'm talking to about this says that might be the most harebrained scheme that they've ever heard of. You got to have standards, and it's not too much to ask a 2.0 GPA of a kid to be able to at least get some decent marks on the books in school and participate in sports. So that's among the first things that are out there, and then the rest is a whole other big bag of question marks. Terry DeBold is the new president of the IIAAG. Good morning, Terry. How you doing?
Hey, Ray. Good morning. Thank you for having me online.
Well, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Last time we talked, it had to do with being able to do auctions. It was wrestling, where I could get the wrestling outfit, and the other one was about the auctions over at this.
Yeah, that's true.
At the Renta building. So IIAAG and DOE are in divorce mode, right?
Well, I'd hate to say it that way. I mean, DOE has made a decision to withdraw the 6 teams from its teams, from the IIIG participation. I think I've spoken to several media outlets and explained that, you know, there's probably a mischaracterization that somebody is taking over sports on Guam. The IIIG, with all intents and purposes, is continuing status quo as it has over 20, for nearly 2 decades. The schedules were voted upon this past Wednesday. The elections were at the annual meeting this past Wednesday. I mean, so things just seem to be moving ahead with IIIG.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the fact that GDOE had decided to withdraw its participation effective the third quarter, from what we understand, no later than, and that was kind of a question that I had.
Why not just do it at the start of the school year?
Yeah, why didn't they just go and say it's August?
They're clearly so gung-ho, so much so that they don't want to listen, and they would just want to go ahead and divorce from the IIIG. So then start now.
I think I cannot speak for GDOE. They did give us the opportunity. I sat in a roundtable discussion. Gosh, when was that? That was right on the same day as the Rugby All-Island Championships. I actually ended up going to the roundtable discussion. I got to sit down and listen to the Education Policy Board, which was the only one I really listened to was Mr. Lujan, of course, because I didn't hear anybody else speak on the matter. Mr. Fernandez spoke a little, and there were some other people from the community that were able to offer their opinions. I just had, I had a couple of questions, but I can't speak as to their reasoning, the rationale, but I'm sure that there's some logistical reasons that they need to do it that way, that they don't want to just suddenly abruptly pull out of sports and start their own program.
But that's exactly what they want to do. That's exactly what they want to do. I mean, I know you don't speak for them, so I'm talking to the wrong person, but I mean, it's just funny because that's exactly what they want to do.
Yeah, they've basically, I mean, indirectly, they've given IIIG 2 quarters notice. Actually, over the summer, through the 2 quarters, they've given us notice. There's been no formal correspondence that we've received yet. I think they're still trying to put this together. I think they're actually putting their plan together, and hopefully we'll receive some kind of correspondence.
So it sounds, what it sounds like to me, Terry, and maybe it's ready, fire, aim.
I mean, yeah, perhaps that's what it is. I think that you might have some individuals with a sense of urgency that have perhaps, for whatever reason, motives to move this along, whereas you might have others that are saying, okay, well, let's make sure we look at the, look at the surrounding issues before we just go and dive off, take a dive. I mean, but I do want to state for the record that after having been elected, I did receive a very kind gesture from the superintendent, John Fernandez. I appreciate that, and we're both looking forward to sitting down, having a discussion. Which I'm not sure what we can. I think what I want to look at is what we can do going forward. I've had people call me about this, and I said, what's going to happen is going to happen, and I think at this point what we need to do is try to look at what we can do for the sake of the kids, because they're looking at next year saying, what's going to happen? We need to devise our plan, stick with that plan, stay the course. These type of situations have worked in other leagues. Example, Hawaii. You have the ILH, which is the private schools. You have the OIA, which is the public schools. You got OIA divided into several different divisions. You have East and West, and then you have smaller divisions within that.
But there's far more schools in Hawaii.
There's more than 6 schools over there.
You have the interleague competition, so
yeah, but Terry, we're talking about the state of Hawaii, where there's a lot more schools, a lot more opportunities for the students to be able to participate, and many different islands that they can participate from. I mean, we just got Guam. It's just us and the 6 schools that are in.
Yeah, I mean, but if you look at the particular divisions in Hawaii, you might only find I'm sorry, my radio just went. You might only find around 6 schools in a particular division. I mean, some of the smaller divisions only have that many, and they do their own division competitions, and then they go into interleague competitions.
I can see how it works, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be good for the kids as they're working through.
But by that rationale,
here.
if we break up the 16 for DOE, then we'll have a 3-team division. And that you know what I mean? Like, it's just because you're right. There are several 6-team divisions, but there are several 6-team divisions, not 6 teams.
Right. That's correct. Actually, there's some that have. I mean, on the IIIG, I hate segregating public and private schools. I mean, to me, we are a community and we are too small.
Why? DOE just did.
Public and private. I don't want to. I'm not going to fall into that trap. I mean, and I'm not going to fall into that. To me, I've coached at both levels, and I do not see any differentiation between public and private school, quote unquote, kids. I have coached for 30 plus years on this island. James, you know, Ray would know this. And a lot of the people have known this at both levels, and I do not see any difference between the students that I've coached.
Well, I don't think there is a difference. I think the major difference that we'll see among the kids is access to the tools, and and private schools might have a better opportunity to have better facilities and better access to uniforms and.
True.
Yeah.
I don't think that's necessarily true.
No, I mean to the degree
opportunities, it's because of the investment from the individual schools. I don't know. I take that I completely object to, is because having gone to Father Duenas, when I went over there, I thought, oh, wow, and I'd heard all the stories that, oh, they got all the thing, they have everything they need, and whatever you want, they'll get it for you, the tools. And that's not true. The parents contribute. Yeah, maybe some parents have better economic means, but some don't. Some put their kids in these schools and they spend their last penny.
Maybe I'm speaking in generalities. Mike had a comment for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, Terry, I was wondering, now in your early discussions since taking over for IIAAG, and I'm sure you've talked with some DOE folks, are there any particular issues that they brought up, and are these things that you have already, looking ahead, kind of planned on dealing with in your own way?
Again, they are generalities. I'm sure the media, somebody in the media, I think, would have received any kind of formal information concerning the specifics. It's really hard to, I think anybody would understand it. It's very hard to address generalities, comprehensively address or try to correct things that are kind of vague, if they would give us more specifics. So, for instance, this grade issue I'm slightly bothered about, and I'm not necessarily speaking for the IIAAG, but just personally, it's kind of ironic because I'm not sure if the method in which the Post article was written was perhaps taken out of context, but on one paragraph, and you guys let me know, I'm on the road so I can't read it.
I'm reading it right now. I'm looking at it right here.
And I'm not sure who wrote it, but correct me if I'm wrong. In one statement, it talks about some kind of unfairness concerning scholarships, the ability of public school students to get scholarships. Does it say something like that?
It says, let's see here, kinda. Let's see here. Yeah, no, it just talks about the GPA, the NFHS.
No. And there's a paragraph in there, one of the quotes from Mr. Lujan that states that it's unfair that that somehow it's insinuating that private school students get more scholarships than public school students do. I know.
Here we go. Lujan said that although GDOE High School comprised 85% of the island's student population, public school students receive far fewer collegiate athletic scholarships than private school students. Quote, are we just the people to serve these private school students? Lujan said.
So now scholarship, scholar, the word scholar, okay? And you typically get scholarships not only on your athletic abilities, but also primarily, because I've seen my students that have gotten these scholarships based on academics, okay? And it goes for the same for the public schools. How can you, on one hand, talk about the fact that they're being out, in other words, we're getting more in this group than we are in this group, and then say, but we need to drop the score levels in order for more kids to participate?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just
doesn't make sense.
It's contradicting itself.
That's like participation trophies.
None of this. I'm
looking at that statement as just further division, just a way to divide people. Now it's the haves versus the have-nots. This is I've seen this play before in politics, and that's what we're trying to do is to say that we've got these groovy rich kids in the private schools, and they get everything, including the scholarships, and here we are, and we're just the poor. We're serving them. What? Why do we have to make that distinction? This is not about economics. This is about kids getting out there and playing. I was a dumb kid in high school, but I still got decent enough grades to be able to run track in my senior year. Thank God. But to say that we need to get more participation by dropping this standard below what many people consider to be a rock bottom standard, I don't think is going to serve anybody.
Well, the reality is, again, I did not produce these rules. I'm just coming on board in terms as an officer of the IIAAG, I had to abide by these rules, the 2.0 rule, which I believe existed prior to the IIAAG. I'm not sure. I can't even recall when I first coached at GW and then again at JFK in the early 90s. I can't recall what the GPA was, but I seem to suspect it was about the same, 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was much change because when the IIAAG started, I don't recall anybody raising any major concerns about that's too high, that, the GPA is too high and we need to adjust that. For 20 years, nobody has ever suggested that, the GPAs are too high. We've had a lot of public school students. I had the public school students. I had to work with them. I made sure that they had to go and work with our teachers to check their grades if they want to participate. They would do it.
This is...
I bet this, 2.0 is 70%. I don't think, the book itself, the rules basically stipulate 70%.
Yeah, you don't have to make all A's to play. You just have to pass.
Just enough for a passing grade. I don't know. This is it. It already feels like a disaster. Terry, you're in a tough spot here, and I'm sorry that you're in a place where we're kind of asking you to explain Mr. Lujan's deal here. But good luck with IIAAG for the quarters that you've got in front of you, and we hope that the third and fourth quarter sports of 2020. Aren't garbage.
No, and I appreciate that, Ray. And again, I didn't want to sound negative on this because at the end of the day,
no, we'll do that for you.
Yeah, no, I'll do that for you, Terry.
No. I mean, I look forward. I'm very positive that the upcoming season for the entire 2020 school year will continue as successfully as it has in the past. I mean, we have fewer participants. We'll find ways. There are opportunities. There's other options to find means to ensure that the kids get the same level of competition.
We'll have the smart kid leagues and the dumb kid leagues. That's how it's going to be known now because they've got the standards even lower than passing grades. Dude, I got to run because it's already the bottom of the hour. I'll talk to you pretty soon, Terry. Thanks for your time.
Okay. Thanks,
Good man. Tough spot. It's 8:32 in the morning, and enough time to talk about some of the things that are happening this weekend. Cocos Crossing, big deal, and whatever it takes, make sure that you've got somebody around here that can scorch you because there's going to be stingers out in the water. I've seen people already just welts. Yeah, because they're practicing in the channel already, and already the jellyfish are out there. Watch out for it. Yeah. So Cocos Crossing coming up. As I mentioned, all of our friends from Jimmy's are going to be in. There's a big ultimate frisbee thing this weekend. Leo Palace.
Yes,
and
good
then
weather.
Jimmy's. Mike says going to be good weather for him.
No wind.
Well, I mean, they get to use the soccer field over it.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's like it's legit frisbee.
Let me see the boys high school all-star game.
Yes, that's Monday, right? The Phoenix Center, the fifth annual. I think they're on year number 5 of that thing.
So how do they determine? You got the all-star game. So how do we determine a winner or loser? I mean, it's not like there's teams, right?
There's teams. They have a draft. So they take the whole all-island list. They have 2 all-star coaches, usually the first and second place teams. Their head coaches will pick. Will each coach a squad, and then out of the all-island all-island list, each coach will have a draft, and they usually have it at Wendy's because Wendy's is the title sponsor.
I see.
So they'll have it there, kind of a live deal, and broadcast it on GSPN, and then from there, the coaches pick the players, and then they get their squad. They practice for like a week, together to kind of get some chemistry going, and then they all go have fun and festivities. And it really, if you've never been, it really is all fun. I mean, yeah, they want to win, but they really want to have fun.
The last hurrah for and some of these kids are seniors.
And play with some guys that they don't otherwise get to play for because they all go to different schools.
And quick note from Michael Knight. The question came in, what's the weather supposed to be like for Relay for Life tonight?
That should be a little rainy tonight. Yeah.
Didn't they get rained out last year?
I think so. They got misted out.
And I believe it's run on the west side of the island too, right? So, and that's where these showers are going to pile up today, is kind of on the west side. So it's going to be a pretty rainy experience.
8:34 in the morning. Watch out for traffic in those areas. Man, that's all the time we got for sports. We'll probably on Tuesday have a chance to go over a little bit more of all of this, and maybe one of these days we'll get a hold of this great divider, Lujan, and find out what it is that he's actually thinking.
Maybe by then he'll have
haves and have-nots, man.
I was going to say, maybe by then he'll have at least one reason why he wants to divorce from the IIAAG.
There's a lot of comments on Facebook Live. We'll get around to some of those. 8:34 headlines with Kevin Kerrigan after these.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo, 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Studio time, 8:35 in the morning, 888-8255-888-TALK. Boy, Facebook jumping all over the place with commentary on one side or the other. Some backing the idea of going ahead and dropping the standards under 2.0, and others going rolling their eyes. You can see it as they type. They're actually rolling their eyes. The bottom of the hour, though, we got to jump into headlines and get Kevin to start on his 3-day weekend. So here it is from the Guam Daily Post, Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, a former tax preparer who participated in a scam to fraudulently register luxury vehicles at Prestige Auto will not serve any time in prison due to her substantial cooperation in the case. Anna Christine Absalon was sentenced to 1 year of probation in district court on Wednesday. Absalon held nothing back in terms of her cooperation, said Assistant Attorney General Sean Brown during the sentencing hearing. Absalon was accused of using the identities of some of the clients for whom she prepared tax returns and using that information to register luxury vehicles that were ultimately shipped to buyers in China. The Chinese buyers saved money on taxes by buying the vehicles as pre-owned on Guam rather than buying brand new cars from dealers in China and getting hit with a higher price tag and taxes. Derek Evan Hills has been arrested again. This time the former senatorial candidate is being accused of wrecking his home and then falsely reporting that he was the victim of a burglary. Hills is charged with making a false report and unsworn falsification, both as misdemeanors. The magistrate complaint states that officers responded to a burglary report at Hills' home around 5:20 Tuesday afternoon. When they got there, Hills reportedly told them that he was awoken to a loud bang and the sound of shattered glass. He claimed that a hooded man came in through the window, tried to attack him, so he defended himself first with a stick, then with a knife. The officers noted it would have been impossible, however, for a man to crawl through the window because the break in the glass was too small. Hills then said the altercation took place outside. Police concluded, however, that no burglary occurred and the damage was caused by Hills. Hills then reportedly confessed to having made it all up because he didn't want his mother to find out that he had locked himself out of the house and broke the window to get in. Hills was arrested last year for posing as a law enforcement officer and attempting to coerce money out of some tourists. The Navy's Explosive Ordnance Disposal Team yesterday removed a World War II-era pineapple grenade that was on display at the Foci shop in Tumon. Store administrator Carlo Dela Cruz told the Guam Daily Post that a beachgoer dropped it off at the store about 2 weeks ago. He said it was rusted, but they thought it looked like a cool artifact, so they put it on display. A military service member who happened to walk into the store saw the grenade and advised store management to contact the Emergency Ordnance Disposal Team and have it taken away. Dela Cruz said the serviceman pointed out that there was no detonator on the grenade, so it wouldn't have exploded, but it was still a live grenade. Guam police and fire units arrived about 12:30 yesterday afternoon. The Foci store and surrounding area was evacuated. EOD was called in and took the grenade away for safe disposal. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
I've seen some interesting pictures of the grenade. I don't have them on me, but maybe
look in the Post.
Well, I know, but
there's some other ones going on.
More interesting than that. Yeah. So they got this pineapple grenade, and the pictures that I'd seen, they have this little kind of like an Army Man action figure. Kind of posing in it, on it, around it. They're funny. And my understanding is the people that took the pictures, they're playing catch with the grenade, rolling it around the desk, all of that stuff. Could have gone south in 100 or so different ways, but it didn't. And the unexploded ordnance now from back in the day is will be dispatched by the professionals. Turning away from 9 o'clock in the morning, that's iConnect time. Swing by an iConnect because they're fun to hang out at. Honest, go by there and ask them about great plans they've got. Mobile. You know what? And no, that is true. There are some people there that I enjoy hanging out with on a social basis, and I think you should too. At any rate, it's 888-8880, mobile and internet and push-to-talk plans from iConnect.
The Crazy 19 menu at King's Restaurants is back with all your breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites. Fun pancakes, tasty sandwiches, and the local dishes you crave for a limited time on the Crazy 19 menu at King's.
We know too well the inconvenience of not having power after a storm. You worry about food in the freezer going bad. Nights get hot. It's hard finding comfort when going to sleep. These are realities. But with solar and battery storage from Micronesia Renewable Energy, these realities can be a thing of the past. The solar works during the day and the batteries power your home at night. Call 632-2613 to see how solar plus battery storage can make life a little more convenient. MRE, the smarter choice.
Traffic Gizmo time, Friday morning, launch it into a 3-day weekend, and traffic is lighter today. You know why? Because there's people playing hooky, I guarantee it. I guarantee there's people waking up this morning going, you know, if I called in sick today, that would give me a 4-day weekend. Yeah, that's what it looks like. 'Cause I'm not seeing hardly any traffic. At the usual spots, intersections 1 and 3 and 10 and 15, 8, 10, not 8, 10, and 16 running clear right now. It's nice. A little bit of traffic over at 16 and 27 over at the McMobile. Not the McMobile, but the mobile, the McDonald's over in Harmon. Let me get a little bit here in front of the Micronesia Mall. And that intersection as you make your way towards the other part of Dedido. 1 and 3, not looking so bad. 1 and 16, not looking so bad. A little bit of traffic, but it'll clear up once you get past St. John's, and shouldn't give you any problems at all. A little bit of back and forth in and out of the downtown Hagutnia area over by the Paseo, so about where Auto Spot is, a little bit north and south of there. It might slow you down, but after that, everything is looking good. Navy Hospital, I think just about everybody's made it in already, and Sumai is actually running clear this morning. That's nice to see. 841, that's right now traffic here on The Point.
Travel the world and then some with the 2 million United Miles sweepstakes from First Hawaiian Bank. Enter and you could win the grand prize of 1 million miles or be one of 6 other lucky winners. The world is big. Our prize is bigger. Enter at fhb.com/2 million miles. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. Sweepstake starts on May 1st and ends June 30th, 2019. Open to legal residents of Guam and CNMI. Ages 18 years or older. Visit 2millionmiles.com for official rules. First Hawaiian Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
You know, I was looking at the wrong intersection when I said that things are looking good down in Sumai. It's actually the opposite. I was looking at the one over by the cemetery. Should have scooched down a little bit more over by the T. Stell Newman Visitor Center and the Infusion and the gate. It's slow getting into Big Navy right now. Outbound, not so much, but getting in there is going to be slow. So I'd go ahead and take the extra coffee time. 8:42 in the morning. 888-8255. Who's playing around online? Who have I got to say good morning to over here? Eric Carlson. Wishing everybody a happy Memorial Day weekend. Roger Martinez is online. I see Tom Tahadzi with a shout to Big Sister Shelley. Eric Carlson says, I mean, at the end of the day, isn't it the parents' job to ensure their kids have the best chance to succeed in life? And enforcing a higher standard in education is a step in the right direction. And part of that success would be setting them up to be successful stateside if they decide to go to college there or eventually be successful stateside. And that's in response to a point that Lady D is trying to make this morning about applying, quote, stateside standards to the kids from around here. And I think that's, part of the view that this guy Lujan has got as well. But not necessarily going, well, applying stateside standards to the kids here as much as it is, well, if they want to do that in those private schools with their private money from their moms and their dads that drive BMW and Infiniti cars and Lexus cars, that's different. We got these kids and they just want to play. Well, the point of going to school is not to play in sports. That's extra. That's something fun that you can do and represent your school and show how you are just as good physically as you are mentally. The point of going to school is to go to school to learn. And a 2.0 grade point average is about the rock bottom standard for that kind of thing. You got to have, if you're not getting at least those grades, then you have no business doing anything but studying. I'll say it again, because everybody thinks it's about sports. It's not about sports. It's about sports in schools. And the primary purpose of the school is not to be a platform for interscholastic sports. It is to teach the kids. So if the kids aren't getting the right kind of grades, and it doesn't matter how great they are at throwing a ball or catching a ball or tackling a guy, that makes no difference whatsoever. You got to abide by at least some simple rules, and the simple rules are you got to get at least a C. Got to get at least a C. In some schools, that's a C. In some schools, that's borderline F. You get any lower than that, and we're not going to let you graduate. Or you know what? You'd be like me. We'll let you graduate, but we won't let you have a diploma. You'll have to come to summer school, and when you're done with summer school, then you can have the diploma. So that's what we're up to here. And I hope that I hope that they examine that particular policy, and I hope that people in the Ed Board will look at that policy and say, no. If anything, there should be higher standards. If anything, there should be higher standards. We've already got, we've gotten into the habitual social promotions in this town over the years. And you get a kid starting to show some problems in the first and second grade. That's okay. We'll just keep passing it along. There'll be another teacher down the road that will be able to find ways to help this kid and get the book scores up, get the test scores up. And it's always the next teacher. It's always the next teacher. Well, you get these kids into high school. Well, pretty soon there's no more next teachers. That's it. That's what you get. And the teachers, just like anybody else, they don't want to take on any extra projects if they don't have to. There's already enough that we ask our teachers to do. So if I got I'm sure this isn't the case with all of them, but if you got 24 kids in the class and they all seem to be doing it right, and you've got a kid that you cannot make pay attention, that you cannot make do the work, that you cannot make keep still in class. Aren't you going to concentrate on the ones that you can take care of? I think that's just human nature.
Yeah, sadly, it's that one kid. It's usually because of a failure on the part of his first teachers.
Parents.
Yeah.
Did you see how fast I was? It's like that's like when Bob Klitsky asked Real Joe Cruz a question. Yeah. Joe's always got the answer right there. Yeah. So I'm just trying to do the same thing.
Well,
I'm
Joe's
just trying to
smart
move
like
along
that
the
because
same
he
line.
doesn't have as much hair as I do, and so his brain is actually able to cool off better.
He didn't actually have any here. 8:47 in the morning. Is he online yet? Lady D says, if the kids pass their classes and stay in school is the point I'm making. It's better than dropping out. But they have to pass their classes, and a 2.0 is passing. So let them pass, stay in school, and enjoy their sports. But I would disagree completely. I would disagree completely with any conversation about lowering our standards. You know what, Lady D? We have already lowered our standards enough in this community. We keep talking about getting some kind of change around here. This community will start changing when we. I'm not going to say when we turn out smarter kids, but when we turn out kids that we're pushing to live up to their potential. And they will start looking around and seeing all the crap that this generation is look the other way on and say, we want better for ourselves. We want it to go better for us. A couple of things. I wanted to start the program off today with some real high notes and try to maintain, because what did I name it today? No Frowny Face Friday. There was ample opportunities all week long to make frowny faces, and so I didn't want today to be a frowny face Friday, so I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about frowny faces for high school sports, et cetera, et cetera. There's a couple of really, really great things that are happening this weekend, and I want everybody to at least make some kind of a plan. You don't have to do it, but plan on it, right? So Mango Festival. Is there, it's there, you never really need an excuse to drive down to Agate, but here's one now. The Agate Mango Festival. Oh my God, that's fun. So here's what this is the way I would do it, right? So you get down there, Agate Mango Festival, and then you go to, there's a taco place there that I discovered. I was hiking with my buddy Justin. We went down to this taco place and had an absolute blast. Now, the only thing about the taco place is, and I don't know whether it's policy or not. I'll just tell you how I did it. And the only thing about the taco place is they don't have, at the time, they didn't have a liquor license. So they got no beer and wine at the place. Right? How can that be? How do you, unless you're Taco, how do you fathom the idea of we're going to be selling tacos? Well, I'd like a Mexican beer with that. But we have tacos. So,
Denied.
Yeah. So, but they're right next to the gas station. So you make your order of the tacos, because it'll take a couple of minutes to get them through, right? Make the order of the tacos, and then you go to the gas station and grab yourself a 6 of something that they got that has a kind of a Mexican tinge to it. Can we do that? And then by the time you get done with the gas station, you should be able to go over to your table, and within a couple of minutes, somebody will call you and say that it's ready, and it was good. What?
I'm still trying to wrap my mind around a food place that sells tacos and they don't
that
have
doesn't
beer.
have beer. Well, I mean, not everybody wants to have a liquor license. I mean, and not everybody's like us that has to have a beer with every meal. I mean, there's some. Believe it or not, there are people that can make it virtually all day long.
You just opened my eyes up to a truth that I was not aware of. I thought everybody had beer with tacos, bro.
It seems to me there should be some of that. I don't know, but that's the way. That would be my recommendation. Lady D says, bring back the vocational training. Right along those very same lines. It's amazing how everybody is thinking kind of parallel here today. I got a note for a story from Mark Cruz, and it's a story on a website called, you'll love the name of this website. It's called ScaryMommy.com. That's the ScaryMommy.com. And the title of the article is, We Need to End Trade School Stigma. During one of the classes I taught at the University of South Carolina, I had a great student we'll call Tim. Tim aced my first year English class. He was funny and fun, a good writer, and a smart kid. Several years later, I learned that Tim had decided to ditch his university education, which he had finished, by the way, and go to trade school. Today, Tim's the best plumber I've ever had. I love that my former student comes over to unclog my drain, and I'm always proud to point out to my sons, I taught Tim. Isn't that awesome? I recommend him to all my friends. I'm not being facetious. I'm as proud of Tim as I am of one of my other students who recently got her MD. When I was a kid, vocational school or trade school had a certain stigma. Like, if you wanted to be successful, you had to go to college, because that's what our parents told us. That's what our teachers told us. That's what everybody told us. And had been telling us since we were small. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, between 2000 and 2016, total undergraduate enrollment in degree-granting post-secondary institutions increased by 28%. By 2027, total undergraduate enrollment is projected to increase by 17.4 million students. Well, that's a lot of kids being told they need a college education to succeed in life. And I won't read the entire article, but she makes a great point. When I was growing up, there was my schools, private schools, places where I'd go and wear a uniform, and it was all boys, and a certain prestige of being a Dueñas man. And then there were the other high schools. There was no other co-educational high schools. I mean, you wanted a private high school on Guam, that's where you went. You went to Father Dueñas, or you could go to the public schools. And I know a lot of guys that went to the public schools from Father Dueñas because they got kicked out, either academic or disciplinary guys, right? So there were some serious issues with them, and the only way that they could be dealt with was kicking them out. And if you went to a JFK or GW, I'm serious now. If you went there and you still got into trouble, the line from most of the folks that were in charge of the disciplinary programs that I'm familiar with said, well, at least there's still VOTEC. It wasn't GCC then. It was they called it VOTEC, short for vocational tech. Some people still call it trade, as in trade school, and that's what happened to you. That was the progression on the way out. I honestly could not tell you. With a straight face, I don't know too many people that went to GCC on purpose. I'm sure there were, but I didn't know them. Like I said, most of the people that I knew that attended trade were going there because they got into too much trouble somewhere else. So for me, growing up on Guam in the 70s, that was my perception. I'm sure it was incorrect, but that was my perception based on all of the data around me. Here it is, 2019. If I had the choice as an incoming freshman or sophomore, 16, 17 years old, or 15, 16 years old, if I had a choice, I would start at GCC. I would have started at Guam Community College. I know how I am. I know how I learn. And for me, it would have been better to jump into a trade program than to try to suffer through. And it really was suffering for everybody. I was not good at math. In the learning environment that I had for math, English was an opportunity for sleep. English literature. We started taking chem for science in about junior year, and that was just absolute torture for me. I mean, just the concepts baffled me, and I had
periodic tables and all that.
I couldn't get through it. Yeah. Couldn't get through it. I don't know that I could get through it now.
Yeah.
But if you start thinking about what was available, what would have been available for me as an incoming student at GCC or at Votech, electronics, electricity, plumbing, construction. There's a bunch of great kids. I got to tell you, I've had the opportunity to meet them in the cosmetology program at GCC, and they are already doing great work in school. They're already doing great by their instructors.
Did you get your lashes did?
They did the lashes. They did the fingernails. They did just about everything that you would normally have done at a fancy salon somewhere. So what's going to happen with these guys? They're going to graduate from those programs, and they will work at some of those fancy salons. And I don't know too many. I don't know any poor cosmetologists. The one that I'm thinking about in my head drives a really, really nice car, and when we're together, she pays because she just has lots of money, or seems to always have lots of money. I'm just saying. And don't get me started on the guys that I went to school with that went into plumbing and electrical programs over there. I can't talk to them because they're jet setting around the world, running their own businesses and things like that. So there's great opportunities, and if there is still a stigma attached to vocational trades, my guess is, and we'll go back to that Jerry Roberts conversation. Go back to what Jerry Roberts was talking about just a couple of years ago. Another issue that is expected to gather steam in the next few years: fewer kids going to choose a four-year college or university to prepare them for the job market. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that it costs a lot of money. The cost of higher education is the only economic factor that outpaces health care. Larger numbers of young people are rejecting the notion that taking on student loans in numbers as high as $200,000 or even more doesn't make any sense for them. Instead, more are pursuing a trade where there is little to no debt involved, and starting pay is often pretty good. Starting pay is often pretty good. Might be minimum wage for a little bit, but the more time that you spend on the job, the more that you do on the job, the more experience that you pick up. And then if you'd learn anything from the earlier low-paying jobs, it's how to work. And before you know it, you might be making in the 40s, in the 50s, in the 60s, in the $100,000. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. Anyway, great conversation. Glad that we can have part of it this morning. 888-825-5888-TALK is my telephone number. Am I supposed to do something? You were telling me, we've got 2 minutes left in the hour. Okay, got it. That's also a lot of student loan debt on top of that. James Howard talking about tacos and cannabis. It's always about cannabis with this guy. Brad Hewitt online. Unfortunately, teachers teach to a C grade. If students want a higher grade, they must exceed the standards and perform extra credit. This is the new system. Instead of teaching higher and allowing everyone to achieve to their potential. I would hope that the teachers that I know in my life, Brad, including my nephew R.D., aren't teaching to the minimum wage and teaching to the minimum grade.
They have to. They have to teach to the common denominator. They can't, unless they're taking on students for, with individual training, they have to teach to the lowest common denominator to get everybody at least up to the same level.
Yeah, well, then we find out where that lowest common denominator is and bring that one up. I agree. I'm not one of those guys that think that the pack should go at the pace of the slower wolf. Just me, if you ask. Uncle Robert, we were talking a little bit earlier about the Guam Power Authority and different things that maybe need to be discussed when it comes to things like net metering and distributed power generation. Uncle Robert says the problem is that we continue to let GPA decide energy policy. They provide power and shouldn't determine our energy policy, which is, hold on a second, it keeps moving, which should be goal-oriented. GPA will not encourage renewables to their own perceived detriment. That's an interesting thought here, isn't it? Is who gets to make the decisions about what the 20-year master plan for electricity looks like? The CCU? Is it the Power Authority? Is it a combination of both of them? To what degree is everybody else involved in generating this kind of a policy? Who decides, just how distributed our generation is? Who decides about different ways to do transmission and distribution? Ponder that. It's 9. Here's Fox News.
Indictment. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange facing new federal charges of soliciting and publishing classified information.
The allegation comes down to this, that Julian Assange worked directly and encouraged Chelsea Manning to steal national defense information, much of which was at the top secret level, including information that documented the names of confidential human sources working for the U.S. military and the State Department in Iraq and Afghanistan, and that the release of that information put the individuals in exceptionally grave danger.
Fox's Catherine Herridge in Washington. Assange's lawyer says the charges, which he calls unprecedented, threaten all journalists looking to inform the public about actions taken by the American government. President Trump said he doesn't like it at all after John Walker Lynn, the man known as the American Taliban, was freed from federal prison.
Now, the question is whether he is reformed. Leaked documents reported by Foreign Policy magazine said Lynn continued in prison to get online, advocate global jihad, and translate violent extremist texts, prompting many to claim he is still a threat. Now, Lynn had been indicted on 10 charges, but the defense punched holes in the prosecution's case, mostly over the handling and questioning of Lynn in custody. So Lynn was able to plead to just supporting the Taliban and carrying weapons in Afghanistan. The sentence was 20 years. He did 85% of that as per the federal guidelines.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Indiana. Lynn, who was originally from California, was captured in late 2001 in Afghanistan. President Trump upping the ante in his apparent feud with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi when asked by reporters about the new trade deal.
She's a mess. Look, let's face it, she doesn't understand it.
Earlier today, Speaker Pelosi suggested a family intervention for the good of the nation and repeating her comments from yesterday that she prays for the president. This is Fox News.
Legends aren't born, they are made. And during our Jeep Celebration event at Cars Plus and Mighty, you'll receive up to $6,000 in accessories with the purchase of a new Jeep Wrangler, Motor Trend SUV of the Year. Customize your new Jeep to the way you want it. Or how about a new Jeep Grand Cherokee? Save up to $5,000. Or save up to $7,500 on a new Jeep Compass Sport. It's our Jeep Celebration event going on now at Cars Plus and Mighty. Cars Plus, driven by you. Accessory special cannot be combined with other offers. See dealer for details.
GRMC's Neuroscience and Neurology Department treats a wide spectrum of disorders associated with the nervous system, spine, and brain. Some of the more common disorders include seizures, epilepsy, dementia, sleep disorders, migraine, and stroke, which is one of the leading causes of death on Guam. GRMC's neuroscience team is equipped with the latest technology and the finest neurological doctors. To make an appointment, contact GRMC Specialty Clinics at 645-5500.
It has overwhelmingly approved legislation designed to block those annoying robocalls.
Democrat Ed Markey and Republican John Thune teamed up on the Traced Act, authorizing the FCC to slap penalties on callers flouting telemarketing rules. It won Senate approval 97-1.
They're not just a nuisance. Scammers use these calls to successfully prey on vulnerable populations like elderly Americans who are sometimes less technologically savvy.
The legislation would require service providers to adopt technology enabling verification that incoming calls are legitimate. Similar legislation is being considered in the House. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
A man who posted a Facebook message threatening to kill as many girls as he sees in retaliation for years of romantic rejection has been sentenced up to 5 years in prison in Utah. A judge sentenced 27-year-old Christopher Cleary of Denver during a hearing today at a court in Provo. Britain may soon have a new prime minister.
Theresa May could be on her way out. Following problems getting her Brexit deal through Parliament, fellow Conservative MPs will reportedly tell her Friday, agree to step down as party leader and prime minister, or they will try and get rid of her. She's now yanked for consideration by Parliament, her latest deal to get Britain out of the EU. 3 approaches have already been voted down. If she does go, though, it will be weeks before there is a new prime minister. Still time enough for her to meet President Trump during his state visit here early next month. In London, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
A settlement reached in a lawsuit between a former manager of Michael Jackson and his estate. The settlement ends one of the last remaining legal fights involving Jackson's estate and comes just short of 10 years since Jackson's death. The former manager had sought nearly $20 million in commissions from the Jackson estate when he first filed the suit in 2012. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Okay, I think it's coming up soon.
Yeah, we're on Route 1 and near the airport intersection, right?
There, see it? What's the promo code? Look for the promo code.
Check out the Vantage Digital Billboard and reap the rewards. Catch the promo code on the screen and get $10 off your stroll ride by inputting the promo code on the Stroll Guam app.
Did you see it?
You got it. I got it. You just focus on driving.
Take advantage today and take a look at Vantage Advertising's digital billboard located on Route 1 at the airport intersection.
All right, funniest thing I've read on Facebook all morning. It's a friend of mine writes, somebody just told me, wow, Val, you walk around like a 70s porn star. LOL. Thanks, Mom. 5 after 9 o'clock in the morning, 888-8255, 888-TALK. Portions of the program here brought to you by American President Lines. APL is shipping the future Micronesia renewable energy. There's never been a better time to go solar, especially since now you can get batteries attached to your solar panels. And just D-Link, baby. Just D-Link. You know what? Maintain a relationship with the Power Authority just so you can get some credits. That's all you're going to need. You want a consultation? Call them at MRE. Guam Regional Medical City is the first choice for your specialty care needs, and Cars Plus, where they've got a big Jeep celebration going on. There's spectacular deals on Jeep Wranglers, and the deals get better because they're adding now. So even after you've signed the paper, here's the key. They're going to give you a $6,000, up to a $6,000 gift certificate to go in their accessory store and get yourself some cool goodies for your Jeep Wrangler. You know you've wanted one since you're a kid. Just go ahead and get it. Father's Day's coming up. Father's Day yourself. And you're going, but I'm not a father, I'm the mother. You know what? Girls look great in Jeep Wranglers. It's this year's, I'm going to just riff on this. You know, it's this year's Gucci purse. All right? This is a, you know.
And besides, moms are the new dads.
That's. Yeah, exactly. Just ask them. Anyway, so, yeah, there's that. Just go. The future is Femulaan in a Jeep from Cars Plus.
Rediscover talk radio here. It's the Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Tenorio Bernardo online, Lady D, Brad Hewitt, Troy Mesa, everybody. What's that Common Core? You were talking about Common Core. Troy, is that maybe that was in response to us talking about teaching to the C level. Okay, not an educator, and we've talked enough of them in the last, 16, 17 years of me being a talk radio broadcaster. You already know that I was never one of those A student kids. Even at my best, I don't know that I could have ever been considered an A student when I was going to school. So I'm not going to try to pretend to understand the science and the technique, the strategy, and the tactics of teaching. I just know what works for me, and the ways that I can learn. And I don't know about Common Core. I know about Common Core what I read about in Twitters and my right-wing websites that sometimes I go to, and they always say that Common Core is a way that we've either managed to dumb things down or shove political correctness down in the next generation's throat. So naturally, I'm not going to like that. But like I said, for the teachers, how does that work? There might be a teacher or two online. And you're welcome to type in your comments, or you're welcome even to call them in, 888-8255, 888-8255. Do we teach? Do we establish who the dummy in the class is, which is the way the other kids will refer to it, and teach to them? Or do we take a look at the class and say, all right, first of all, we're going to grade kind of on the curve. I like it when they grade on the curve. I always thought that did well for me. The problem was that there were guys in the class that could ace tests. So grading on the curve when somebody comes in with 100, that doesn't help me. People. I'll get that in a second. Or is the other way to do it? And I'm trying to remember if anybody did that with us. And I don't ever remember, breaking into a cluster where there would be one of these things where, all right, in order to improve the skills of the dummies in the class, what you do is you partner them up with the smart guys in the class, right? So you'd break into like little study groups where you got, okay, smart guy, smart girl, dumb guy, dumb girl, and hope that just by osmosis, the smart guys working with the dumb guys would kind of bring the dumb guys up to the smart guy level, or at least a little bit higher. Just by the shared breathing, maybe something like that would take place. But again, I don't know. Non-educator. I don't know if Uncle Robert's still online, so I can't say what's the kind of thinking at the Uber educator level. Anyway, 10 after 9 o'clock in the morning. So we got plenty of that and plenty of other stuff on the table of contents to talk about here. I'm hoping that we'll be able to get hooked up with the guys over at the War in the Pacific Park. They got a couple of things that are going to be taking place. It is Memorial Day weekend. As much as I've talked about all the fun things that I get to do in this town over the great Memorial Day weekend, it is a reminder that there are many who have come and gone and in fact, given their lives so that when I want to give the governor of Guam a hard time, I can do it. When I want to say that this might be the worst legislature we've ever had in the history of Guam, I should be able to say that. My First Amendment right, Second Amendment rights have been bought and paid for by men and women from here and abroad that have given their lives to the flag. So this Memorial Day weekend, there are going to be the installation of flags. I refer to it as flag planting, but they're using a different word. The installation of flags down at Camp Assen, and with me on the line, I think I've spoken to him on a couple of occasions from the National Park Service, Art Davtian. Good morning, Art.
Good morning, Gray. Yes, you are right. We talked about your favorite actor.
Yes, Connors yes, because you're Armenian. That's where the name comes from.
Yes, and I have another interesting point. Did you know that Al Israel had Armenian roots too?
Whose roots? Al Israel? Oh, yeah. The family.
Yes. As far as I know, I cannot say for sure, but that's what I heard.
Well, then next time I see Mike, I'll be sure to ask him about that. So you've been over at the park now because it's a couple of years that you and I didn't talk, and I've been here for a year or so. What are you pushing on your fourth year at War in the Pacific?
Yes, that's exactly right. April was my fourth anniversary here on Guam, and I loved each and every year of those four.
Congratulations to you, and so many adventures now with the Park Service and some great people that you've had the opportunity of working with, and now I've done this program that I wanted to talk about first, which is the installation of the flags at Camp Assen. I've done that before, and I cannot tell you how terrific I felt afterwards because it was me helping memorialize the participation in a very almost spiritual way of men and women from here in the United States that liberated Guam from the Japanese.
Absolutely right. That's the whole point of the event, is to pay respect and commemorate those who gave their lives. And that's the reason why we have a very specific amount of United States flag and very specific amount of Guam flags. We are going to have 1,880 United States flag, each one for a fallen United States service member. And we are going to have 1,170 Guam flags commemorating the Chamorro, mostly Chamorro people who died during the occupation and liberation of Guam, totaling 3,050 flags. And since this year is the 75th anniversary, we were able to acquire better quality, brand new flags, so it will look even better this year.
That is a big deal. Now, 3,000 plus flags that need to be installed at Camp Aspen in a fairly short amount of time. My recollection is we started, I want to say at 7. We were done by lunchtime the year that I did it.
We expect to be done by 9:30. The process is going so smooth these days that we gotten used to it, and volunteers, many of them are repeat volunteers, so they know the job.
Mm-hmm.
And last year we had 1,100 volunteers who showed up. I've never seen Assenbridge so full with parks, maybe on Easter weekend.
Wow.
But we don't expect to be there more than 3 hours, Ray. We will be done by then.
Anticipate fast work with a lot of people that know what they're doing. The time that I did it, I didn't know what I was doing, so I kind of showed up with shorts and Zoris, and the guy says, "Well, we need you if you're going to be handling hammers and things like that. We need you to be using closed-toe shoes." And so, what is it that people should bring with them by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning?
We highly encourage bringing water bottles. We will provide cold water, drinking water, and there will be cups, but we are National Park Service, and just like everybody else, we encourage bringing bottles rather than using disposable cups.
Smart.
We also ask people to bring in closed-toed shoes because there is a chance of rain, and there will be nails around. We simply won't allow people going there barefooted. It's just not safe. And also to have protection from the sun. That's also kind of an issue because early in the morning, very often, especially if it rains and then the sun comes out, it becomes really humid and hot, so we ask people to hydrate, and we'll have plenty of water. But other than having sun protection, closed-toed shoes, and reusable water bottles, they just need to bring their attitude and good, positive, hard work that they usually do every year.
It's a very, very diverse crowd that will show up tomorrow morning, and if you'd like to add to that diversity, all you need to do is show up, as we say. But there's locals, and there's military, and there's young, and there's old. Everybody is out there.
Yes, Ray, that's a very good point because as we speak, I'm getting phone calls. You can hear it in the background probably, and I'm getting emails with groups requesting the paperwork that needs to be done. To come, and we get requests from the military, veteran, cadets, high schools, non-profit organizations, churches. So if you come to that event, that will be an excellent depiction of how diverse and how great that diversity can be when everything is working for one purpose.
Everybody has some connection to a survivor from the Second World War, maybe somebody that died during the Second World War as a result of the occupation, maybe somebody that came to Guam and liberated the island and came back and stayed. I know many people that came to Guam as part of the Liberation Force and decided that at the end of their time in the military that Guam's not a bad place and found their way back. Take advantage of those connections and honor them by participating one way or another, either with the installation of the flags, or maybe just go by there and pick out a flag and say, that flag is for this guy, that flag is for my great-grandfather.
Yes, yes, Ray, and I would like to also kind of give a hint that one of the best times to enjoy the flags would be around sunset time because that's when you can then enjoy in daylight. And let's not forget that those flags come with special lights, and at night they are illuminated, and it's a very impressive spectacle to enjoy. So we encourage people to enjoy both.
Now, the installation of the flags takes place, as you say, starting at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'm going to repeat that as often as I can before the end of the show. 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Bring a water bottle and closed-toe shoes, positive attitude, and some kind of something to screen you from the sun because it might be coming out boiling tomorrow. But as soon as the installation is done, for all intents and purposes, the display starts, right?
Yes, and then later in the afternoon at 6 p.m., The display will be on right after, and people can come and enjoy. But at 6 p.m. we will have a special ceremony, and we expect the Guam Territorial Band to play for us, and we will have cadets doing the colors, and there will be very short speeches, and after that we will invite the public to go into the field and turn the lights on.
So this
will be around 6:30 p.m. So by the time we turn the lights on, it will start getting dark, and people can enjoy the other side of the flag display, which is in the dark.
You got me right in the feels on that. So it's the individuals that will be there at 6 o'clock after, for the ceremony, that will be turning on the lights. Each one of the lights attached to a flag that represents a soul.
Yes, that's the favorite part of the event for many kids. Wow. They love running around and turning the lights on. But yes, there is a lot of symbolism in that. Ray. And we should not forget that Assun Beach is actually a battle site where many Americans died. And Assun Beach itself has a very rich history. Of course, we can talk for a long time about that. But Assun Beach is a special place, and those lights illuminating with the flags, and each flag representing a lost life, there's a lot of symbolism, and we are very happy that it's very much appreciated by the public.
Man, you know what would be awesome is it would be just the ultimate, right? If I was a Navy guy or if I was a Marine, right? And if I could get my what do they call it? My re-up ceremony done there this weekend. With the lights in the background. Wow.
We have it every year. The military organizations coming and doing different kinds of ceremonies there, including re-enlistment or some kind of receiving citations. But we should also remember that it's also good for local people to come there and that's. In fact, very often in history books, the military story and the story of the Chamorros who suffered during the war is very much isolated. You don't see much connection there. But here at Assun Beach, you kind of get both worlds together.
I see what you're saying here, and I understand. It's 21 after 9 o'clock in the morning, and you've had the opportunity to be a part of this for a number of years. Now, do you have a favorite part of this? I'm recalling the year I did it when we were all done. I thought we were going to go, and then kind of gathered all the volunteers around in a semicircle, and there was a park ranger there that told us a couple of stories about some of the men that had given their lives. I mean, there's a lot of research that has been done and a lot of great stories that are out there. Do you still do something like that?
No, because we found it very difficult to get people together at one time in one place, and the number of people visiting us has grown so much that it becomes practically impossible. However, each group, and I'm saying this with full responsibility, each group that helped us, they have an open invitation from us for a park ranger-led tour of our park sites or a visit to their place of work or an institution for a presentation. We want to kind of say thank you in our own way.
Well, I think that's terrific. In the years that you've been on Guam, before we get into some other conversation here, in the years that you've been here, what's the most interesting thing that you have learned about Guam or its history or its people? I mean, just something that when you're out hanging out with friends and just talking about stuff from work. What's the one story that you like to tell?
Let's say I'm going back to Armenia, and my friends and family are there, and they ask me, hey, what's the most significant fact about the local people? I would probably say their navigational skills that are mind-boggling. 4 years, I cannot understand how thousands of years ago people were able to navigate without electrical instruments, GPS, and that to me is something that science has not been able to fully understand, and that's a skill. And they did it all without use of metal. That's another shocking, when you go and see in the museum the proas and things that were built, and when you think that it was done without use of metals, it's just impossible to imagine how it was done.
Right? And there is. And the great thing is, there's so many shared traditions in the Pacific. Many of them have to do with a little bit of the flora. I mean, the coconut trees are universal around the Pacific, and then we talk about the navigation skills and the kind of marine vehicles that these guys could build. And there's a lot of similarities. You go around there. We're going to be doing a Fest Pack here in 2020, I guess, in Hawaii, and we'll be able to see the similarities of our culture. And you're right, being able to get from one point in the Pacific to the other in those days, it tantamount to being able to discover the new world, really.
Yes, Europeans like to pride themselves in discovering many places. But if you compare the navigational skills of Pacific Islanders to those of Europeans, contemporary Europeans, and consider the totality of the circumstances, that there wasn't as much trade, there wasn't much exchange of information. In Europe, if somebody invented something, all Europe soon started using it, but it was not the same dynamic in the islands, so they kind of developed their own technologies on their own without help from outside. So I think that's a very interesting phenomena, absolutely amazing.
I like the conversation. We're talking with Art Davtian. He works over at the War in the Pacific Park, and originally talking about the installation of the Memorial Day flags and then the ceremony that comes up after that. Carl's on the line. Wanted to say hello to you. Good morning, Carl.
Yes. Good morning, Ray, and good morning, Art.
Good morning,
I
Carl.
I just wanted to chime in and commend Art. My cousin who was in the military. He was in the Army. He returned to the island last month, and early last month we had the privilege of going on a tour of the remarkable War in the Pacific Park Museum, and Art was our tour guide, and it was just amazing. And the tremendous advantage we had is that Art is a history buff, and that was military history was actually, if I remember right, Art, it was your major in college, and you love military history, and you just put in so many tidbits of military history and the history of leading up to Guam's involvement. And I highly recommend anyone listening that, take advantage of it and take a tour of that remarkable museum. Ask for Art because he loves history, and you will get just a flood of fascinating facts and stuff that I'm still amazed. I'm planning on eventually going through it a second and maybe even a third time. It was that good.
Thank you very much, Carl. That's very nice of you.
Aww. Isn't that something?
Sure. Ray, may I also add one more thing? If you give me a chance, we never mentioned the fact that this year is the 75th anniversary of liberation of Guam, and there is a kind of added sentiment to all the events, commemoration events, and memorial, the flag display, we do it every year, but this year it has become kind of a part of bigger celebrations that are being planned throughout. And on July 20th, we are doing a very similar flag display, but instead of 3,050 flags, we will have large numbers of 7 made of American flags and a number 5 made of Guam flags on Ascent Beach illuminated. So that will be a spectacle not to miss, too.
Gotcha. Well, we'll tell you what, now that we've reconnected, Art, you're welcome to either call it in or, better yet, swing by so everybody can see you in your uniform.
I would love to, Ray. I would love to.
I think that'd be a treat for everybody. Carl, I'm going to let you run. Art, again, thanks very much for your time, and I hope I get a chance to see you soon.
The privilege is mine. Thank you, Ray.
Yes. You like that? Did you feel that little bit of European graciousness there? The privilege is mine. Like the way he says that. Like the way the man talks. 9:27 in the morning, 888-8255-888-TALK. It sounds like, gee, doesn't it sound like somebody put a plan together for the 75th liberation? The 75th commemoration of the liberation. Certainly the guys over at the War in the Pacific Memorial Park have done it as well. So 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, guys, if you're not doing anything, I got to tell you, and you might... I don't want to make any promises because all of a sudden 7 o'clock is starting to sound really early to get up and moving and getting out in the sunshine.
On a 3-day weekend,
Yeah. Well, you never know. Never say never. Like I said, closed-toe shoes because there's nails out there and you might step on something or somebody might step on you. So be careful. Make sure that you've got something that you can drink water from. They will bring the water, but you can bring a little, reusable bottle or something like that because they don't want to, environmental concerns, right?
Yeah. And the park was able to make this happen pretty easily. You know why?
I give up.
Because they're not trying to make money off of it.
Oh, I guess. It's National Park Service, Department of Interior, right? So that's where the funding is coming from.
Yeah, they don't
for all of the things that they want to do. But it's just that they're doing it, right? There's a thing. Can't imagine what a disaster something like that would have been if it was Parks and Rec that was putting together that. I'm sorry, guys. It's just 9. Hey, we'll take over our own. Our
flags
own
would all be upside down. Even the Guam flags.
9:29 in the morning, 888-825-5888-TALK. And let me take a quick break here and give you a couple of ideas on some of the things that we're going to be up to for about the next half hour or so as I ponder how I'm going to kill the last half hour of my talk radio week here. So stick around. iConnect time is 9:29. iConnect with great packages and deals that they can put together for you. Push to talk. They're like the only guys that do that on Guam. And it's not the old-fashioned kind either. I mean, it's a newfangled push-to-talk, smartphones, all of that. And don't forget, they also do mobile and internet plans as well at iConnect.
The Crazy 19 menu at King's Restaurants is back with all your breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites. Fun pancakes, tasty sandwiches, and the local dishes you crave for a limited time on the Crazy 19 menu at King's.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
I forget to do this on regular, but there are folks that I know that are celebrating a birthday. She used to be one of the brightest lights up in Mataguac Chigo. Linda Evangelista, or Linda Moreno, is celebrating her birthday today. Leisha Perez-Uggan, I know her from Habitat for Humanity, got a birthday today. Pete Lombard, that's one of those genetically modified Lombards because they're all genetically perfect. Every sport, every school, good looking, all of that stuff. And anyway, today is his birthday. Richard Gutierrez got a birthday. Let me see if anybody else I know. Jenna Sablon, George Johnson, Sandra Wiggs, and others. And I like this because it tells me whose birthday I missed. And this might, looking at a couple of pictures, it might explain a couple of loud folks I saw over at MOSA not that long ago. Anyway, bottom of the hour, 888-8255. A lot of people online seem to appreciate the conversation with Art. Pam Duvall talking about Chamorro folks that fly their proas in circles around the Spanish ships, according to the legend. And Pam Duvall saying ancient alien knowledge given to the Chamorro people to help us circumnavigate the great vast Pacific. There's a big ocean out there. I think sometimes we forget that. I know I do. Because, it's that whole America and Asia thing, and, we're all kind of ethnocentric, and we can see our horizon here, and, we're got a pretty good handle on where we are when you look at a map. And then ponder this. Then it takes 8 hours to fly between here and Honolulu, and we're still not out of Pacific Ocean yet.
Yeah,
that's to me that it's one of those things that just kind of put everything into perspective. And then we start talking about people who before Columbus knew how to sail around here, get from one island to the other, and then back. And that's so for me, that's kind of, it's the same as being able to send a spaceship out to Mars and being able to come back, under your own power. How do you do that? What kind of magic is that? And it's a magic that the people of the Pacific had known for millennia and had been doing it for millennia. That's why sometimes I think about these things. You know, there's a sense of history that if all you think about is what we know from the last couple of thousand years of written history in Europe and the Americas, that's really only a fraction of it. I think about like George Washington crossing the river, right? What was going on Guam at the same time?
Yeah. The Chinese.
What were we doing? The Chinese.
The Chinese were already a civilization with the Egyptians, by the way, when they were building pyramids. And Europe was in, like, dark ages. We were wearing skins, living in our little huts.
So you think about the contemporary nature of all of these things, and it's what we were taught and the way the books were handed to us in school. And imagine how much different it would have been if we'd have started. Yeah, I know we're getting the Valentine's likes for the conversation online. Imagine how much different our perspective would have been
if they had told us the truth.
If they had told us the history of here. If they'd have told us the history of here. Hey, the truth goes to the last survivor. Whoever is the last man standing gets to tell the story.
That's right.
And that's just the way it is. Whether it's right or wrong, or whether it's in today's life politically correct or politically incorrect, it makes no difference whatsoever. The guys that win the battles get to write the history books, right. And that's all there is to it. But wouldn't it have been great if we were taught the history of this region when I was growing up, when I was going to school?
And it is one of the really enlightening things that I find about the internet, social media in particular, in that it's bringing more people together now, and people that actually know this information are sharing it with those that don't. And so, can you say an enlightenment or an awareness that a good portion of humankind actually is starting to undergo lately, realizing that the history we've been taught isn't necessarily exactly how it happened, and people are interested in knowing the truth.
Well, and for me, it's not. It's again, the truth. That's. At the end of the day, and as I get older, the more I realize how subjective the word truth is. And it sometimes depends on who's doing the, quote, truth-telling and how much you believe them. And being in talk radio for as long as we have, you get real cynical about who you believe and who you don't believe. And the only thing that I can say is I've never lied to you. And so I hope that you trust me. And one of the other things is I hope that you always trust that if there's something in front of us, I'll try to get both sides of it and figure out which one is doing the truth telling, or how much of the truth is coming from here, how much of the truth is coming from there, and just try to get the both of them together. But in a sort of related angle on the discussion, is it even goes into education, or I'm sorry, not education, entertainment. I've told you dozens of times, it more often than not, if you take a look at my viewing history on Hulu and Netflix and some of the movies, you will find that more often than not, I have not necessarily been watching, hey, Hollywood's latest blockbuster, because I don't care about Hollywood anymore. They're all the same story coming out of Hollywood. And I'll give you an example. Here's an example of it. A couple of the biggest movies that we're going to be talking about soon. One of them, Aladdin.
Yes.
Right? Talked about Aladdin. Are there songs in Aladdin? Do they sing A Whole New World? If they are not singing A Whole New World, this is not Aladdin. Sorry. Okay?
I thought that was
it's Aladdin. No, it's not. It's Aladdin.
I thought it was a Little Mermaid.
No. Dude, get your Disney right.
I had to watch them all. They just kind of bleed together.
Okay, can I tell you why I watched them all? And it isn't because of my daughter.
Oh, that was my
reason. When they were coming out with the Disney princess movies, I was actually dating and then married one. And so that was one of the things. Like, what are we doing this weekend? There's a Disney movie playing. Let's go to the theater and watch it. Oh my God! So we got to find. And this is where my nephew came in handy, because we always needed to take a kid. Right? We didn't have, so we always needed to take somebody, because otherwise it would look like we're two adults trying to sneak into a kid movie, which is exactly what we're doing. Artie, you're coming with us. Unbelievable. But anyway, so if you take a look, a lot of the movies that I'm watching are generally movies that are, I want to say are coming from out of Asia, because I think they're great movies because they've got more years of history that they can draw from. And it's not just like, you think about Chinese movies or whatever, everybody's thinking about the same, like, Hong Kong kung fu movies, right? It's not. There's some really, really intense stuff coming out. The sci-fi stuff that's coming out of China and all of Asia, right?
They've got one in particular, and I know you know the one I'm talking about, but I cannot remember the name of it, but it looks like a phenomenal film. And I believe it's a Chinese film, Chinese or Korean. I'm trying to figure out which one it is, but it definitely is from Asia. And it's just, I mean, from the visuals to the story itself, is just phenomenal.
Now, part of it, I will admit, part of it is because I've got a crush on a Chinese actress. Her name is Shu Qi, and have for a long, long time. I don't recall if she's ever actually been in American or Western movies,
which is different than a skate key, by the way.
Right, Shu Qi or Qi Shu. Depends on how you pronounce it. Anyway, just a delightfully gorgeous actress, and she plays in some of the movies that I watch all the time. She was in The Transporter. There's a show called Journey to the West, which is just kind of unusual. There's a whole bunch of other movies that you'll find with her in them, including kind of a Legends meets sci-fi kind of cave ritual monkey warrior.
Wow,
it's hard to describe the entire package, and I've watched it several times. And incidentally, there's a great love story in there as well. But there's if you get a chance, start watching movies that are coming out of China, out of Taiwan, Hong Kong, and all kinds of different places, because they're all, I think, much better at telling some of these stories. And another example here of how Hollywood just keeps making the same movie. James Cameron has dropped the trailer for, are you ready for it? Terminator.
What?
Terminator. They're doing another Terminator.
How many times are you going to kill the thing, man?
It's like the day after Judgment Day. This is and I don't know. I was watching it for a second there during the break and looking, going, well, it looks like it's an interesting story, but how many different ways are we going to do a Terminator story? Yeah. And I don't think they got Schwarzenegger coming back in this one, but what's her name? Sarah Connor, the lady that played Sarah Connor,
right?
James Cameron's wife. She's back.
Okay,
she's back. Okay, so here's the thing. She was cute in 1984 when they did the original Terminator.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Okay.
Yeah.
20-way. I'm not shaming. I'm just, this time is better for some than others.
I'm still trying to get my foot out of my mouth from earlier, so I'm not going to say
no, just leave it there. So, look, it's the weekend in 20 minutes.
I washed my shoes.
It's the weekend in 20 minutes. We're going to be all right. Now looking over the table of contents, because that's what I do here. I think I've gotten to just about everything here on the table of contents. Talked about all the big sporting events that are going to be coming up this weekend. The bus driver story, which friends, don't let this go. Don't let the bus driver story go. This is an example of another example of how we just kind of let things. We just get so used to it. We're just so accepting and just say, well, they're going to conduct an investigation. That's what the governor's office said. They're going to conduct an investigation. So eventually we'll know exactly what happened. But as Uncle Tom was saying this morning, and this is very important, keep an eye on the calendar. There's a finite number of days with which they can conduct an investigation and determine fault and determine what the results of the investigation are going to be with regard to that employee's position inside the government of Guam. And if they screw it up, not only will the guy come back, right? It's this whole Lazarus play in the Civil Service Commission. Not only will he come back, but he'll come back with pay for all of the time that he missed, if he's not already, or she is not an administrative leave. So you're gonna get that, and who knows? It might be the next bus operations director, right? So it's one of those things.
Put her in charge of GRTA.
Just got to watch. You got to keep an eye on this. Yeah, that's your job. Mass transit. China financing. What are we talking about?
Just drop them anywhere.
So here's the problem. I've got people that are responding to things that I'm saying, but I'm not looking at Facebook in real time. So I'm missing. Shelley's talking about China financing, but now I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Does it have to do with Shuki? Can I meet her? Can I follow her on Facebook? Actually, I think I don't follow her on Facebook. This is the level of my stalkery with Shuki. I follow a group that follows her.
Okay.
I'm like the Shuki's Facebook fans, and I'm a member of that
I don't
group.
think they have Facebook in China.
They might have something. There might be something else.
I think they have their own version.
There was a couple of things I was looking at that I thought might be fun to talk about, and I don't know if I want to talk about stuff right now. As much as I just want to say, it's the whole big deal is going to come down to watching what happens with the numbers with these guys. President Trump is going to give $16 billion to farmers for a mess he helped create. I thought right wingers and GOP conservatives don't believe in the government taking people's money and then giving it to somebody else. Is Trump becoming Bernie Sanders or AOC for the American farmers? Good point. Not really paying attention to that. Sorry, it's one of those things. If I wanted to know more, chances are I'd have to go to Twitter, and Twitter's a cesspool. So I don't. The less time that I spend there, and I can almost guarantee, unless I'm really super bored, I'm not going to be anywhere near Twitter this weekend.
I haven't done any Twittering ever. I mean, I started to at first many years ago, like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I, like you, I just saw the vitriol that was going on and back and forth. And I was like, man, I don't even want to be part of this.
Yep.
Instagram, I don't care about everybody's food, so I'm not going to be part of that.
Yeah, so my big deal for the weekend is I intend to find a whole lot of pretty girls, take selfies with them, and post them up on Facebook. Incidentally, the one from the other night?
Yeah.
610 views.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
610. And not one of them looking at me. No, I guarantee it. Anyway, so that will be my goal, my quest for the Memorial Day weekend. It will, unfortunately, be the last of the Ray Gibson birthday month celebrations. And wouldn't you know, the Guam Police Department is going to be having checkpoints.
Who's your designated?
What?
Who's your designated?
Lacia?
Thought there was some confusion on that yesterday.
DMs have still got to go back and forth on that. Anyway, quarter away from... Stupid.
Sounds like you'll both be walking.
You would think that I would have planned better for the end of the week, right? You would have think that there would have been a better plan on how we're going to kill the last half hour of the program here, and the answer is no, there isn't. It's just me and Mike and you at this point, going over the last of the relevant remnants of this week. And what an incredible week it has been for talk radio. Hasn't it? Honestly, has it? Think about it. All the fun stuff that we got to get through this week. Bus driver under investigation. The grenade that they found over a Fuckeye. There's a story. I'm a little bit more familiar with that story than what has been written in the media. None of which I can tell you, unfortunately. And you know me. If you tell me, I'll tell you something. But please promise never ever to say it to anybody else. I'm that guy. I can keep a secret. Right? I'll give you another example of my ability to keep a secret. Frances Tyneko Gatewood has been reappointed to her position as the lady of the court over at District Court.
Right,
but they're going to wait until after the White House sends the official paperwork. They know it's already done, but they're going to do the pomp and ceremony because that's what we're good at around here. We're really good at ceremonies. Anyway, so they're going to do that, but they got to wait until they get the official notification from the White House about the appointment. And now I know this from a really, really good source.
Yeah.
And he says, just make, you can talk about it on the radio. Don't say it came from me.
Oh, okay.
And did you hear me say where it came from?
No.
No, I'm just pushing it around. So guaranteed right now somewhere in a newsroom on Guam, somebody's hearing that rumor for the first time and is freaking out trying to figure out who to dial.
Can you do their name in sign language?
Yes, but I'm not going to. I can keep a secret. 9:46 in the morning. All right, so some of the other things we got, the GPA employees, you get a raise, you get a raise, you get a raise. And among the other questions that came up, I guess, was a question about what to do about the transcripts from this meeting that took place 6 months ago. They were fighting over getting the transcripts of the meeting, open government law, and the FOIAs that went through. And the answer is, well, we'll get it done as soon as we get the transcripts. We'll get a court reporter out there, and they'll be able to transcribe it and type it out on a piece of paper, and then we'll give it to everybody in the media. And my question is, why can't we just have the recording? Just make a tape. Just make a copy of whatever it is that you recorded this thing on. Is it an MP3? Is it a wave? Is it a cassette? Is it an open reel? Is it a 8-track tape? I don't know. Just give us the audio. We're people in the media. We can listen as well as we can read. If it's a question, if whatever comes faster is the answer to the question. And you might be going, well, transcript, doesn't that imply that it's somebody typing something down and da-da-da-da-da? You know, back in the old days in broadcasting, we used to refer to, they'd send programs on large records, like a 45, like a 33, like a 78, but they came in bigger formats. Right. And those were called transcriptions. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for an excuse to say, here's the transcript, and rather than having type it, give us the transcription, give us the actual physical piece of audio. And then, like I said, we'll be able to listen to it and then come up with the determinations on where the mistake was made, when you should have gavelled out of executive session and then gone into open session of the Consolidated Commission on Utilities and more. The only thing that we don't want is an edited version of the audio. We want to hear the entire thing. We don't need any of this 16 minutes of silence like they had in the old Watergate days. 9:48 in the morning, so you got that. Derek Hills back in the news, and I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. Derek has gotten into trouble many, many times.
Shame.
And in many cases, they have been entertaining. This most recent one, likewise entertaining. Do me a favor, edit that audio so it goes ring, 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 shame, and make the shames quicker. Can you do that? Put the shames together a little bit more. I don't like the beats. You know, I'm a beat-oriented guy, so it should be ding-a-ding-a-ding, and then it'd be an opening for me to say something, and then shame, opening for me to say something, shame. The timing on that is not working for me. Right? Thanks, man. You're not doing anything this weekend. Get that radio show tomorrow.
Yeah, and I've got promos to write.
So anyway, so it distracted me from what I was saying about the guy, right? So there's Derek, and he apparently breaks the window to sneak back into the house, and tells his mom that no, somebody was breaking into the house and they're coming to get me because whatever, and so the police were called, and now he's in trouble for falsifying a report to the police.
Interesting observation you saw on Facebook, right? Mm-hmm. Where someone had suggested, and I can't see the names on my site here, Derek's mom was actually the person who he was in third-party custodial release to from the last time he got into trouble while he still waits to go on trial.
Yep.
And he wasn't supposed to be away from home, and Mom didn't know. And so he locked himself out of the house, and he didn't want Mom to know that he had left the house. So he made this whole story up to try to protect himself on several fronts and wound up...
Not the least of which is ticking off Mom.
Yeah, and basically wound up stepping his foot into a bigger pile of dew because he's just not real bright.
Yeah, can you imagine? This guy wanted to run for senator. Wanted to run, I think, for... Didn't he also pick up a packet for the mayor?
What's sad is...
You want to talk about dodging a bullet, right?
Did he actually get enough signatures to run?
You know, getting signatures to run for political office around here isn't that difficult. Yeah. You show up at a 5K, hang out over at the post office for a couple hours, and generally that's not a problem. Or you go to fundraisers of other guys, and then it's just infectious. And I guarantee there's people that just sign them without even reading who they're for. Yeah, when that name comes up, you got to read it and see who it's for. But you get the guy out there, and so he's got this now. Would take you back a couple of years ago when he got in trouble for... you remember him, and what was the name of the gal? Sarah May, I think was her name, that got in trouble around the same time. Nick saying, heck, he'd qualify. Nate also online saying, James Cameron sold the rights after Terminator 2. This will be his first Terminator movie since he got them back. We need to retire Sarah Connor is the point that I'm going to make. No, because there's other characters that are coming in there. I thought some of the other Day of Reckonings and where they go back into the future. I thought those were kind of interesting. But anyway, getting back to Derek, right? So prescription, he had messing around with prescription pills and wrote himself out a fake prescription. So he got in trouble twice in a week for that. And then there was he went over to MacTech and got into there was some deal there where there was a phone on the counter, and he took two phones and covered the one phone and then walked out with three phones, allegedly. Now, this is all part of the magistrate reports that I was looking at today, and nothing for that. Hey, phone's expensive, man. Becomes a real larceny when you get clipped for that. and then the posing as a peace officer to get money to extort money out of the tourists. And we thought that was going to be the high watermark just the Derek show.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man, but that's a whole other level. And this is where I started to really worry about the guy because, some of this stuff is just being stupid. But that sort of thing, that is an actual attempt to really defraud people, and that's being a wolf in sheep's clothing, and I take particular exception to that kind of behavior.
Yeah, well, and the worst thing in my mind is he was using his dead father's uniform. I just thought that was really icky, lack of respect for your father or the Post. Rico saying he did run for primary and loss. All right, glad your memory is better than mine. 9:53 in the morning. Let me take a real quick break here, and we'll set up the last couple of minutes of the show and trail into what I think are going to be some of the fun things to do this weekend.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,600 by calling Family Finance in Agutya at 475-4545, Upper Tumon at 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance, serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Business travel just got easier. Take your data plan with you for only $10 a day to all 17 Data-to-Go destinations. Never worry about additional data roaming charges when you go where your business needs you. The US, China, Thailand, and so much more. Have the assurance you need to check emails, surf the web, and stay connected. Call 688-2677 today to make sure your account is Data-to-Go ready. Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Somebody up on Facebook posting a picture of Rapa Nui. Do you remember Rapa Nui? Not so much Rapa Nui the island, right? Rapa Nui the dancers. Festpac 2016. And that was the great attraction. That was remember back in the old Lights Captain's days, they'd bring in these groups of dancers, what do they call it? Not the full Monty guys, but like that, right? The Thunder from Down Under. You get these pretty boys out there in tight pants, and they get super buff in the chest. Anyway, Rapa Nui, if you'll recall from the Festpac days, were the star attraction, and there's virtually every woman that I know here at the radio station and in all kinds of other places going, oh, we have to go to Festpac. It's so great to be part of a great cultural scene where we're talking about the great peoples of the Pacific and the Micronesians and all of that. Blah. It's just so wonderful. Somebody shared things. Rapa Nui. Really? I never saw any pictures of anything else but you and the guys from Rapa Nui. So we're going to be sending out another delegation, apparently, to Festpac. The word is starting to go around. Guam is going to have a delegation that will be going to Festpac. Rapa Nui. Hey, we got to do that. We need. It's Hawaii this year, right? So we need to figure out how Guam and the delegation from Guam will be the Rapa Nui of this 2020 Festpac. That's what I'm thinking, right? That's what we got to be able to do some kind of we got to be able to do some kind of competition against the dudes from Rapa Nui, because they were. So guys, hit the gym, start working out right now. Ladies, hit the gym, start working out right now, because that ought to be our stated goal, because it's the only thing that people are going to remember about Festpac is they're going to say, dude, did you see those guys in their cultural costumes? Rapa Nui. Right? That's what I want. I want people to go, yeah, eye candy. That's the word I'm looking for. I want Guam and our delegation to be known for being the eye candy delegation at Festpac. That is the only reason why I think we might be able to justify taxpayer dollars that get spent to send a delegation to Festpac. That was the question that I didn't see anybody ask when they were talking about it in the articles and the write-ups that I saw there. Hey, Guam's going to Festpac next year. I'm like, yay? Is that a yay moment? Who's paying? Do we have to pay? Because I think there are probably still bills from Festpac that we did in 2016.
I was about to say,
probably need to get paid. Did you remember everybody jumping all over themselves to talk about the economic impact of money that we made on Festpac? And I'm going, how did we make money on Festpac? Oh, there's millions of dollars worth of money that came in from the tourists associated with Festpac here on Guam. And I'm going, well, it seems to me that would have been a money-losing proposition because these guys all came in. We had to feed them. We had to house them. We had to drive them around. We had to, see to their every need. And so how is it possible that we made all of that kind of money on it?
Not to mention the expenses on the facilities to begin with.
Well, we got we took down a parking lot that we desperately needed, and put up the what are now the bus shelters, I think, in the downtown Nagutnia area. Those things we did without too much of a plan on how to make sure that there was a consistent use for them down the road. Now, I've seen guys, and we've been among those guys that I like to do events down there. They're nice. If you do the Bank of Guam 5K, that nighttime gig that they have down there, that was awesome. There was a 5K that the Gain people did down there.
Last year Coco's did theirs out there.
It's the end of one of the marathons or half marathons or something like that. So we know that there can be uses of those facilities but we need to figure out how to do that on a regular, because like I said, there was a time that was a parking lot, and there isn't too much more by way of parking. You know when we'll find out just how bad it is for the carnival, right? Because they're going to take the old parking lot, use that for the carnival. Nobody's going to be able to park anywhere within a half mile of the place. This is going to be exciting to get through, isn't it? Anyway, that is all ahead of me here. The other things that we got a chance to talk about this week that were fun was the complete and lack and total disregard of any kind of sanitation or cleanliness at any of our park bathrooms. And showed you some interesting pictures from Mike. And I'm sure there were a couple of other things that we got. Oh, see, now I didn't have a chance to talk to John Fernandez about this yesterday when we were talking about bus drivers and who was responsible and all of that. But I did. Maybe next week we'll ask him about the plans for another middle school in the central part of the island, specifically Tamuning, specifically right down the street from where we are here, is where they're talking about converting Chief Brody and turning that from an elementary school into a middle school, adding another layer of history to that facility. I know there's still people that giggle like Beavis and Butthead when you hear the word Brody. It's 10 o'clock in the morning or darn close to it. Hey, look, it's my weekend, and Michael's almost weekend. He's going to do the show on Boss 104 tomorrow. I want you to be listening for that. Again, we're not going to be here Monday. Alert the authorities. I'll catch you on Tuesday morning. Have a good Memorial Day weekend.
He says we'll be watching him. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Trump reacting after the release of the so-called American Taliban, John Walker Lynn.
I don't like it at all. This was a judge that gave a 17 or a 20-year sentence, and he got some time off.
Lynn converted to Islam and traveled to Pakistan and eventually Afghanistan, where he was arrested in late 2001.
Now, Lynn had been indicted on 10 charges, but the defense punched holes in the prosecution's case, mostly over the handling and questioning of Lynn in custody. So Lynn was able to plead to just supporting the Taliban and carrying weapons in Afghanistan. The sentence was 20 years. He did 85% of that as per the federal guidelines. Federal sentencing guidelines say with good behavior, he can get off with doing only 80%. He does have some restrictions on his supervised release. For instance, he can't have a smartphone or an internet-capable device and can only communicate online in English.
Fox's Mike Tobin at the federal prison in Indiana. Lynn's supervised release will take place in Virginia. The National Weather Service says a deadly storm in southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri spawned 4 tornadoes in 50 miles.
Missouri Governor Mike Parson asking for the nation's prayers for the at least 3 dead near Golden City, Missouri, while saying he's grateful there were no deaths from the devastating tornado that ripped through parts of the capital city.
Thank goodness there's plenty of people doing everything they could to warn people, the general public, to take safety, and a lot of people did.
Many states in the southern